Sales event now. Contact your local Nissan store today. And on a beautiful afternoon in Florida, the Red Sox have journeyed to Northport near Sarasota to face the reigning National League East champion Atlanta Braves in the Grapefruit League. And from our NESN studios, I'm Dave O'Brien alongside former Sox pitcher Lenny DiNardo. Great to see you, Lenny, and great to see a lot of big names in both of these lineups here this afternoon. And the number 2 start of the spring so far for Garrett Richards. He's on the hill for the Red Sox this afternoon, looking to provide some stability at the back end of that rotation.
Yeah, Garrett Richards features a 4-seam and a 2-seam fastball. His changeup goes mainly to lefties. He'll use a slider against righties and look for righties to swing over that. That's a pitch that he throws in the zone, but it ends up out of the zone. One thing about Richards is that he needs to use his movement inside the zone. He gets into trouble when that starts on the corner and breaks its way off the dish. Guys are going to lay off that. So, again, looking for consistency in the zone. Hopefully he puts up a good performance today. After last time, he ended on a good note, but the first inning was a little shaky.
I can tell you this, he's facing a major league lineup today for the Atlanta Braves. Sox Braves coming up. Bobby Dahlbeck off to a very hot start Wednesday against the Minnesota Twins, hitting on 1 but 2 home runs and going to the opposite field with authority. He's belted 3 so far in the early going. First pitch is coming up next. Brought to you by Nissan. Catch the thrill of the Drive Nissan sales event now. Contact your local Nissan store today. Reed's Ferry. If it says Reed's Ferry Sheds, you've got a good one. BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's official website for deals. ProSwap, America's #1 app to buy and sell sports bets. Go to ProSwap.com today. Temperatures expected to be in the low to mid 70s at Northport, Florida, and Cool Day Park, about 35 miles south of Sarasota. It's the 3rd year as Atlanta's spring training home. We're getting a look at it for the first time, as many of you probably are, from our studios here in Watertown, but great to have you with us today. Red Sox lost their first 2 games of spring training, but they've won 3 of their last 4. Yesterday's game against the Twins canceled because of rain. The teams were heading to the bottom of the 2nd inning. All of Lenny's best stuff was on the table, but you'll hear that today instead after that game got canceled. Here's a look at the starting lineup for the Sox today. It'll be Kike Hernandez to lead it off at second. Alex Verdugo in center field. Hunter Renfroe in right. Rafi Devers at third base. Christian Vasquez getting the catch, batting 5th. Marwin Gonzalez, the designated hitter, with Michael Chavis at first base. Cesar Puello is in left. And Jonathan Arauz is in short, and the number 9 hitter. Starting pitcher, it'll be Charlie Morton, who had Saturday's outing rained out, now 37 years old. He signed as a free agent with Atlanta, leaving Tampa Bay. And he has been a terrific big game pitcher throughout his career. Last year with Tampa Bay, 2-2, a 4.74 ERA.
Let's take a look at the Braves defense. Ozuna in left, Pache in center, Acuna in right. Third to first is Riley, Swanson, Albies, and Freeman. Darno is catching Morton.
Look at your umpires today for this spring training game. Behind the plate, Eric Bacchus, Brian Onora, Tim Timmons, Manny Gonzalez around the bases. And as mentioned, just a picture-perfect day. Winds blowing in. Temperatures expected to get up to about 74 degrees. Right now it's 70. Wind in from left field, and nothing but sunshine and blue sky in Florida. So Kike Hernandez about to lead things off here. Red Sox right now leading the majors in spring training batting average at .302. Leading the majors in runs, home runs, slugging, and OPS. I don't think the offense is a huge question going into 2021 for the Red Sox.
I mean, the offense is going to be there. I thought the offense wasn't terrible last year. It just shows you how important pitching and defense was when you're looking at the results of a season.
Kike signing as a free agent, 29 years old. Verdugo on deck. Alex got in the lineup yesterday, and that one socked the opposite field. That'll drop down and hug the line. Acuna trying to dig it out, and Hernandez on his way into second base. So a fine at bat right out of the chute.
It's a great job by Kike right there, seeing the ball the other way, driving it, keeping that bat flat through the zone. got a little bit too much of the dish. That ball started outer third and ran its way over the middle. Did a good job running out of the box, thinking two all the way from the get-go.
So quickly into scoring position in front of Alex Verdugo. It was such a breath of fresh air last year. Coming to the Sox in the Mookie Betts trade, he hit .308. Going to be in center field this season much of the time. If you missed it, Jackie Bradley Jr. has signed with the Milwaukee Brewers a 2-year deal.
Pretty unique setup for Verdugo right there. It's like he's standing straight up, very loose hands, very loose elbows. You see a lot of guys, especially in the past, when they get in that stance, their elbows are poking out in every which direction. If you see him, he's just kind of sitting there waiting, keeping relaxed.
He's pretty loosey-goosey as a personality too, as he takes a big rip at that one and fouls it away. Remember when he screamed for the entire world to hear it after he stole the home run from Travis Shaw last year? That was a classic.
I tell you, that swing right there is not relaxed. That's a pretty quick bat right there, which is, you know what, it's a direct relation to how loose he starts out. Quick bat.
Led the Red Sox in hits, batting average, and on base percentage. Facing Morton, who was originally drafted by the Atlanta Braves, so he's back where it all started. Made his major league debut as a Brave in 2008.
It's a great pickup for them, really, if you think about it. You know, last year's starting rotation was a little bit piecemeal. You know, they had to tape it together, and their bullpen kind of held up the bargain to get them where they needed to be. But, you know, having a guy like this, a veteran presence, a proven winner, guy that can kind of take the youngsters under his wing and show them what they need to do in order to win ball games.
And the #1 starter, Mike Soroka's coming back from injury. We saw him throwing today. And ball 4. So Morton gives up Verdugo and a walk, and that'll put runners at first and second. Quickly for another new face for the Red Sox, as is Hernandez, and that's Hunter Renfroe. He's in right field today. Hit 33 home runs for the San Diego Padres in 2019 and 26 the year before, so he does swing for the fences.
He's got some pop, and, you know, like you said, he's going to be in right field. But I tell you what, at any given day during this season, you might see a different face at every position in the outfield. They have the capability to kind of put anybody there at any time. You know, it's great to see that because, you know, if a guy needs a breather throughout a 162-game schedule, which they currently have this year, thank goodness, you know, you're going to have guys off the bench that can take care of that.
Red Sox do feel, Alex Cora does feel, he can be versatile with the outfield spots. Rafael Devers on deck. Red Sox trying to strike right away against the veteran Morton. And that one driven to center field, right at Pache. He'll make the play. Hernandez is going to hold there at second base as the throw came in. So Renfroe hit the ball pretty stiff, but for an out, and one man gone.
Looks like it was just on the outer third. Maybe just quite got the end of the bat. Sits back on that a little bit longer, drives it into the gap.
Pache, a top prospect for Atlanta, in center field today. And it'll send up Rafael Devers. 2 on and 1 out for Rafael, who is now all of 24 years old. Up high for a ball.
It's amazing when he came up how young he was and how he made a pretty quick impact on the club. I know defense was a question when he first came up, and he was working extremely hard to up that game.
Looking to put up the full season numbers that he did 2 years ago when he hit .311, 32 homers, 115 RBIs. Lenny, he had 54 doubles that season. I was looking at it this morning, and he scored 129 runs that year. 2019. When you look at the totality of the season he had, it was even better than I remembered it.
Sure. Ooh.
Oof, yes, that's right. That's exactly what he said.
That's a big hack right there. A lot of similarities between the stance and the swing between him and Verdugo.
Often talks to himself after a swing like that.
Sometimes he closes his eyes. What's the old adage? You're breathing through your eyelids. You know, whatever works.
Sure. Well, when he's on, man, does it work. Socks that one foul.
Hit that one off the ground.
He did, which he's been known to do. Tom Goodwin getting out of the way.
This is not an easy pitch to get to. First, you have to recognize that it is a breaking ball and make that adjustment down in the zone.
And Goody making some fans. 1-2. Half a wave and a miss. Not too sure on that pitch. It's another thing Morton can do. He can elevate and get you out. His first K.
I mean, that's a weapon right there. Being able to throw up in the zone, especially when you have a curveball, that ball comes out of the same slot, same release point. So when you're trying to recognize a pitch, a curveball and then a high fastball and vice versa, very, very difficult to pick up.
Christian Vasquez doing the catching in the early innings today, and he'll dig in for his first at bat, coming off another good year. Hit .283 last season in the short campaign. And he will look at a ball.
He's been doing a great job for the pitchers ever since getting up in a Red Sox uniform. Maturing as not only as a hitter, but taking care of pitchers. You know, it's you look at a guy like Varitek, you know, he would line out and he would run back into the dugout, get his gear on, and he's locked into the pitching, what he needs to do defensively. So I'm sure Tech's getting with him and kind of conveying that message as well.
Freddie Freeman picked it up in foul ground. He's the reigning MVP in the National League. Going for the Braves today. They're going to be very good once again. High expectations in Atlanta, like win the division again expectations, win a World Series expectation.
And they really should. I mean, winning that division last year with what they had, you know, the pieces that they've added to the puzzle right now are only going to help.
Marcell Ozuna re-signed, multi-year deal, kind of late, but they brought him back. Red Sox are delighted with that because every time he swung the bat against the Red Sox last year, it was gone. It felt like it was a home run. He had 3 in one game, in fact, in Fenway. 2 on. Hernandez and Verdugo got on quickly, but then Renfroe lined out. Rafi Devers struck out, and that's a strike.
Basically, you're saying just walk him with the bases loaded.
There would be one suggestion that, you know, when the time comes again, he was just a monster against the Red Sox. I mean, he was against everybody.
Sure.
To be fair, he had a spectacular year. Vasquez trying to get the Sox in front here. And that's in there for strike 3. Well, that's Charlie Morton in trouble early, but then he gets the Red Sox very quickly thereafter. Cool Day Park here, home of the Atlanta Braves. And Braves coming up. Here's a look at their starting lineup. And it's an A-list lineup. Acuna Jr. in right. Albies at second. Freeman at first. Ozuna in left. D'Arnaud does the catching. Dansby Swanson, their everyday shortstop. Riley at third. Lamb the DH, and Pache in center field. Up against the right-hander Garrett Richards, his second spring start. 2-2 at the Padres last year, a .403 earned run average. Made some starts. By the end of the season, he was working out of the bullpen.
Let's look at the Red Sox defense. We've got Puello in left, Verdugo in center field, Renfroe in right. Third to first, we've got Devers, Arauz, Hernandez, and Chavis. We've got Vasquez pitching to Richards.
And Acuna Jr. maybe the best player on this team. That's saying something. We'll take ball 1. 2018 National League Rookie of the Year. And it was a 30-30 man 2 years ago.
So it'll be, by the way, that's Richards pitching to Vasquez. That's a little left-handed pitcher for you. And me coming out.
High fly up into the sun, and Puello coming in on it, and he takes a tumble, but he hangs on for out number 1.
It's a real high sky out there. Did a good job of putting his glove in the way of the sun right there, running on the ball of his feet to make sure the ball isn't bouncing in the air. Good job staying with it.
Might be a battle throughout the day. Albies next. And a breaking ball in there. You know, occasionally we have a happy birthday announcement for a longtime Sox fan, but today is truly special. A very happy 100th birthday to the beautiful Grace Burke, an avid Red Sox fan her entire life. And Grace, our great friend Paul Sullivan and the wonderful folks at Sullivan Tire and Auto Service did not want the weekend to pass without wishing you a happy 100th. Also true of all of us at NESN and the Boston Red Sox. Happy birthday, Grace. 100.
It's a big one.
And recently, some championships. Into the dirt, and a good stop by Vasquez. One thing a catcher's got to be is very active and agile with this guy on the mound.
Absolutely. He's got a ton of movement, and a lot of times it's unpredictable. His fastball can move one way, arm side, or it can move glove side when it cuts. You know, it's unpredictable, which is a good thing, but you have to be able to keep it in the zone. You want guys to swing at pitches that look like strikes and might end up out of the zone.
2-2. Garrett now 32 years old. Sinker, the four-seamer, slider, curveball, fastball, 95, 96. No question about the stuff.
Oh, it's there. Absolutely. I think his curveball is probably his best pitch, but he uses his sliders to go away from righties typically, and it's a legit swing and miss pitch.
Thought he had a strike there. 3-2. This Red Sox pitching staff has got to stay away from ball 4.
Absolutely.
It was an absolute killer last year.
0-2, 1-2, you cannot go to 3-2. You've got to get guys, get ahead, stay ahead, the mantra.
Not just last season, the season before too. Freddie Freeman on deck. Alex Cora has talked about Garrett Richards, saying he reminds me quite a bit of Kevin Brown. Talk about the hard stuff, everything hard, hard, hard. And he's going to walk him. As the Albies will take ball 4, and Freeman up next. Alex making that comparison to Brown. He said, you know, it's stuff-wise. Sinker with a lot of the same action that makes hitters uncomfortable when he's throwing it effectively.
Absolutely. And you know, both those guys have a ton of extension out front, bigger guys. But I tell you what, if you remember Kevin Brown, that guy was huge. He was an absolute animal on the mound too.
Perfect pitcher's build. I thought that the first part of his career, 6'4", maybe 210, something like that. Hot shot off the glove of Chavis, going to roll into an empty space, and everybody's going to be safe. And Freeman and Albies are aboard for Atlanta. Big smile out of Freddie. Chavis got a piece of it.
That was a hard hit ball. He's lucky just to knock that ball down, keep it in the infield.
And then into no man's land, and Freeman should get credit for a base hit there. 2 on and 1 out. So he's on with a single and brings up Marcell Ozuna, and I think the Sox should just walk him right here. Even though it's a spring training game, just put him on. This guy was just murder against Boston last year. Had a great year anyway, but he had 3 home runs in single game play at third and safe. So Albies very alert on the bases. He winds up 90 feet away.
It's a great effort by Vasquez to keep that ball in front of him and throwing off balance, really running down the line. I don't know if he ever had a shot, but you know what? Watch this throw without even setting his feet. That's all you can do, really. You don't have time to do anything else. It's also a great job there by the runner, seeing where that ball is on the dirt, taking the momentum from his secondary into third base.
Freeman moved up as well, so 2 men in the scoring position. Right now he's kind of all over the place. And that was the problem in his first inning in Fort Myers last weekend too. Had a very rough first inning and really settled in after that. Pitched quite well. Only went one more inning, but he got him 1, 2, 3. Not quite the same lineup, same ball club.
He mentioned that he's working on his mechanics, and one thing you cannot do in a competitive atmosphere is think about what you're doing on the mound mechanically. You have to kind of let that go. The time for that is flat ground bullpen sessions. You have to think about hitting the glove, competing in the zone.
Getting into a dangerous count here, and he's gone to ball 3 on Ozuna.
A lot of times you see a pitcher throw up and into a righty like that. He's just getting a little wide. The circumference between his hand and his head is getting a little wide, that orbit, so he needs to tighten it up a little bit, keep his front side in the zone just a tad longer and reach out.
Albies and Freeman leading away, and a strike. So much of Richards is staying healthy. He's had 2 Tommy Johns. He had a knee injury that he suffered as an Angel at Fenway Park that took him out of a great season he was having, and snapped that one in there. 3-2.
That's a good pitch right there, making that adjustment we just talked about, really staying tight with his hand on those last 2 breaking balls.
Well, trying to do what his counterpart Charlie Morton did in his first inning, get out of an early jam. Ozuna 338, 18 home runs last year. Remember, that was in just 60 games. Lunging, gets a piece and hangs in there. Talk about that 3 home run game. He hit 3 at Fenway on September 1st last year. And it just absolute blasts. He was enjoying himself a little bit. Just a tad. Just crushing the ball.
Look at his stance.
Look at
his
that
swing. Not a lot of movement at all.
No.
So clean. Not a lot of head movement. No unnecessary movement at all.
Well, you find that catwalk out there center field. Not many do that at Fenway. 3-2. And he bounced it. And a great stop there by Vasquez. But it is ball 4. And they are all filled up with 1 out.
Oh, that's a great job. That's something that he works on constantly. You see a lot of catchers. I'm not going to talk about maybe one guy in New York right now, but a lot of times a catcher will try to backhand that rather than getting their chest out in front of it to keep it out front. You know, keeping those runners where they are right now is very, very important. You're practicing what you want to do in the season. Just because it's spring training doesn't mean you're going to dog it.
Well, Dave Bush back for his 2nd season as the pitching coach. He got the fly out by Acuna Jr. to start the game, but then the walk, the base hit off Chavis' glove, and now Ozuna will take the walk, and they're loaded up for Travis d'Arnaud.
He's going to try to get ahead of this guy with a little bit of damage control. Batting averages are sky high when you get behind in the count, so I think his key right now is to get strike 1, stay ahead.
No place to put him. Albies, Freeman, Ozuna load him up for Atlanta. And a little tapper here, foul off third. Devers collects that on the grass, and strike 1.
You can tell at this point he feels more comfortable with his breaking ball in the zone than he does his fastball.
He's got tremendous curveball spin rate and the slider as well.
He actually throws his curveball with 2 fingers. His pointer fingers just kind of dangling off to the side.
Pitch number 19. He was really saved by the 20 pitch rule that allows the manager to call an inning at 20 pitches last year. This game, by the way, is going to be 9 innings in length. Both managers decided yesterday that today they'd play 9. 1-2.
Nice little two-seam fastball running in right here. A little extra giddy up on that one.
A Brave at every base here in the first inning. And a 1-2 to d'Arnaud. Right through it. He got him.
It's nice stuff. Doubling up on a fastball right there. Everybody in the ballpark knows he's more comfortable with his curveball leading into those two pitches. So for him to be able to double up on two fastballs in a row, just couldn't quite get the barrel to it.
Well, now the everyday shortstop for the Braves, Swanson, 274 with power. Drove in 35 runs in 60 games last season. Big test here for Garrett Richards. Can he get out of the first inning? High shot. That one rocketed to left center field. That'll drop and go all the way to the warning track. Albies in to score. Freeman in to score. And Ozuna in to score. So he can't get out of it. Swanson crushes that one into the alley. And winds up with a 3-run double.
Tried to triple up with the fastball, feeling like he controlled it now, so he was able to kind of look in that zone, one pitch, one zone. You know, a pitcher not comfortable with his fastball goes back to it the third time because he's starting to kind of get a grip. A hitter is able to kind of predict what zone, what pitch he's throwing.
Austin Riley, number 7 hitter in the inning, takes a curve in for a strike. No defense for ball 4. And the walks really hurt him. Opening day for the Sox on April 1st at Fenway Park against the Baltimore Orioles. Of course, we'll have it here for you on NESN. Swanson at second. Knocked the other way, foul for strike.
Another high fastball right there. I think typically he's going to throw that down in the zone just a tad bit. When you throw it a little bit lower than that, you're going to talk about two-plane movement. It's going to have a little bit more run.
We should also see Matt Barnes go today. The left-hander Josh Taylor, a couple of guys out of the pen. Right back to Richards. And a high toss. He's had a little trouble with that early in spring training, but gets the final out. But 3-0 Atlanta after 1.
Devils from TD Garden tonight. Plus, NESN and the Bruins will celebrate Hockey is for Everyone throughout the entire broadcast. Catch pregame coverage starting at 4, puck drop at 5, only on NESN.
So busy day here at NESN. Day and night.
Very busy day.
Atlanta jumping out in front 3-0 here at Northport, Florida, in Cool Day Park. Sox coming up for their second rips against Charlie Morton. It'll be Marwin Gonzalez, Michael Chavis, and Cesar Puello. Red Sox opened up the first inning with a double and a walk, but then Morton shut him down. Gonzalez looks at a strike. Marwin, a new face as well here in 2021. Versatile guy. You can play him virtually anywhere. Veteran switch hitter.
Marwin, one of those guys, again, like you said, he can play everywhere but pitching and catching. If we're seeing pitching, it's not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
It's
not a good sight. No. He would be the first one to say that. Although I bet he would also say, hey, Lenny, tell you what, I get pretty good movement on this. I mean, I can run this off the corner of the plate, and lays into that liner, but right at Pache, a sinking line shot for out number 1.
Yeah, I don't know if position players like pitching more or pitchers like hitting. I mean, that's kind of a coin toss. Who likes to do it best?
It's funny, though. I've never heard one of them in 30 years of doing this say, hey, you know what? If you give me a choice between getting in a game on the mound or behind home plate, hey, put the pads on, man. Just give me the chest protector. Give me the. I can't wait to get back. Nobody ever says that. Ever.
I can tell you one of my most precious possessions is the baseball from my one hit. I'm 1 for 5. It was a bloop single to Barry Bonds facing the Giants when I was with Oakland, and it was a half a swing bloop. Just dropped in, and I've got that on my mantle.
Sure. And by the way, that's not my memory. You hit it right on the screws. It one hopped the wall. They were lucky to hold you to 1. Now, who is the pitcher?
Cain. Matt Cain.
Matt Cain.
He was 2007 Cy Young that year.
Yeah. Well, that's a good keeper, Len.
Yeah, about 95 up and away.
He was filthy.
He was. I didn't see the ball. Eyes were closed. They had to tell me to run.
These are all details that you leave out of this story, of course, when you tell this, at Thanksgiving in front of the big table.
The footage might be out there, so I gotta be honest.
Chavis with a pop to right, charging in Acuna, and a dive by Albies. He can't get to it. And Chavis keeps on chugging into second base. Well, that sun's going to be tough today.
It's a hard ball to see. That ball's kind of out in no man's land right there. You see him look. You got it. You got it. If there's any kind of doubt, someone's got to take charge.
Now that looked less about the sun than it did about communication.
Absolutely. They both looked at each other at the same time. Are you going to take it?
And Albies was not wearing glasses anyway. So Chavis winds up at second. And we'll bring up Puello. Red Sox trying to get on the board early against the veteran Charlie Morton out of New Jersey. Half a wave and a miss. You get fooled on that one.
Tell you what, that's a good pitch right there. That ball looks like a pitch right on the outer third, breaks its way off. Very, very difficult pitch to hit. You can see by that swing right there, he just basically gave up on it about halfway through.
Arauz on deck. Well, Morton has been a big game pitcher in his career. It's a major reason Atlanta re-signed him. In the postseason, he has 4 wins in elimination games, including last year in the ALCS against his old team, Game 7 against Houston. He beat them.
I mean, that type of experience in the postseason, that many wins, incredible. I mean, we really can't put a number on that, what he's going to take into this team.
7-1 in the playoffs in his career with a 2.27 ERA.
I mean, that's electric. That's lights out.
Hammered foul. You start to think of the John Smoltz and Jack Morris, Curt Schilling, guys who in that role you wanted them to have the baseball. You didn't want anybody else to have it.
There are good pitchers out there, but then there are good pitchers that perform in the postseason. It's two different things.
Little ground ball, one hopper. Freeman will get there first. Down to third, Michael Chavis. So the Red Sox have a man 90 feet away with 2 down.
It's a good job by Morton right there, going away with 2 breaking balls, trying to get in on his hands with 2 strikes. Basically changing eye levels right here. Previous pitches were away, got him to extend his hands, moved that one in on his hands right there, just couldn't quite get to it. It's all about location.
Arauz will climb in, hoping to pick up a run here. Atlanta leading 3-0. We're talking about great Braves players. We mentioned John Smoltz a moment ago. We're going to talk with Chipper Jones on our broadcast in a couple of innings. You have a relationship with Chipper. It goes back a ways, and he's now a special advisor. He's a hitting guy for Atlanta.
Yep, his dad was one of my coaches, my hitting coach in college back when I actually did swing the bat a little bit. Great coach, great friend. Glad to see Chipper back in uniform.
Yep, Hall of Famer. Look forward to chatting with him. Getting the lowdown on this Braves team, which is going to be one of the most exciting teams I think to follow all summer long. Breaking ball downstairs. And a very, very tough division, that National League East. So it's saying something that roundly they are predicted to win the NL East. Arauz lays off. Good stop by d'Arnaud, and pitch down into the dirt. He went sprawling.
Morton's looking pretty comfortable so far. That's an intentional pitch right there. You want that to be down. You want him to chase it. Looks like a good pitch, and then it's gone.
He's got that great curveball. Early in his career, he got the nickname Ground Chuck because of the ground balls that he induced routinely. Houston really got him throwing that curveball, that great spin rate of his. He went upstairs again, and he struck out Arauz. When he needs the K, he gets it. One left. Tire and Auto Service. New face for the Red Sox is Danny Santana, just added to the Sox spring training roster today. He appeared at every defensive position except pitcher and catcher. Sounds like we're talking about two other guys on the Red Sox roster, but the new guy is Santana, who also can play a lot of places. About 1,800 fans allowed at Cool Today Park. I've been saying Cool Day. It's Cool Today Park. And temperature expected to be about 74 at Cool Today.
It's a cool day at Cool Today Park,
I suppose. In there for a strike on Lamb. He had 193 last year, 31 games. Richards in his second inning, rough first. He walked two, gave up 2 hits, including a 3-run double to Swanson.
see if he can get back to that mentality of competing rather than thinking what he's doing over the pitching rubber.
One. Well, he's looking to have a strong outing very soon here in the spring, similar to what Eduardo Rodriguez just did on Friday, which was pretty emotional for Eddie. He threw 2 2/3 innings, pitched very well, 46 pitches. He said later it was much more than just a spring training game, coming back from myocarditis, which cost him all of last year, the inflammation of the heart muscle. This was emotional, and he was not afraid to talk about that. He said it was a joy. I had the opportunity to get back out there, and it was very, very important for him to do that. He said, I felt chills.
It's great to see him back and healthy again. I tell you what, he's a huge part of the Sox team in the clubhouse, on the field. They're going to want him to be healthy.
Lamb will take the walk, and that's the third already for Richards. Scouts topping Eddie out at 93 miles an hour. That's what he averaged in 2019.
It's a great sign.
Yes, if this Red Sox team is going to be competitive at a high level, Eduardo Rodriguez needs to be in that rotation and pitching like he did a couple of years ago, and it was wonderful to see him back out there. High fly right field by Pesce. Renfroe all the way back and can't get to it. It's off the base of the fence. Lamb on his way around. He will score easily. That one hit a long way by the number 9 hitter. He winds up all the way down at third, makes it 4-0.
Ball's just a little up in the zone right there, just below the belt. Not a lot of movement on that one.
So Pache gets credit for a triple, and they pick up another run with the help of a walk.
It'll do it every time.
And Acuna Jr. will be next. He's 0 for 1 with a fly to left. For nothing, the Brave. Infield is in. Curveball over his head.
Just not feeling comfortable with that pitch right now. He was feeling comfortable with it a little bit. It's the only pitch he felt comfortable with in the first inning. Then he threw some fastballs that got hit going to that. Now that's just a little inconsistent at this point.
Here's 1-0. Check swing fouled away. Yeah, Red Sox expected to get a look at Matt Barnes today. Josh Taylor, Colton Brewer, among others. And a 1-1 to Acuna.
It's nice to see a little bit of competition in the back end of that bullpen this year for the Sox. Competition's always good to have options.
Always interesting to see when you get your closer in early in a game in spring training. You need to make sure he gets that work.
That's it.
So they slot them in so early. Matt Barnes will be early in this one. The 1-2. A wave and a miss. Made a good pitch there to strike out a good hitter. His second K in the book.
That's the key right there. When you throw a pitch that works, that's exactly what he's trying to do. Now you're going to try to repeat that motion over the rubber and out in front. That's the hard part.
Albies the man who started the run in the first inning. They scored 3 times. He walked and became the first man to touch home plate today. That curveball again. Well, we want to say hello to the Hall of Famer Chipper Jones, who was kind enough to join us right there from the ballpark. By the way, it's great to see Chipper in uniform like this. This is how we remember one of the best third basemen in the history of the game. Chipper, thanks so much for being with us. Dave O'Brien along with Lenny DiNardo. You guys go back a little ways.
Hey, Chipper, how's it going?
I think he's doing great. He just can't hear us. We'll work on that. Yeah. Unless your relationship wasn't quite as good as I was told it was, and he's simply icing you on this one.
Did I not return a phone call?
Could be. We'll get that squared away. You know, this is the COVID-19 era, so nothing seemingly is real smooth.
We'll roll with it.
Yeah. Infield in tight. With Pache there at third. And a 2-strike pitch to Ozzie Albies. Well, he thought about it, but he looked to hold up. And he did. No swing.
Called it a back foot breaking ball. That's as about as literal as you can get.
You and Chipper go back to when you were in college.
I went to college at Stetson University down in Florida, who has gotten off to a great start, 10-2 so far. And his dad was my hitting coach, assistant baseball coach there under Pete Dunn, who was there since like 1980, I think. And he would always come around, and anytime we had an exhibition game, he would get at bats and he would talk to the players. And you know, even at that point, you knew that this guy was headed to Cooperstown, just the way he carried himself and how, you know, he would put on a show during batting practice and even off of us occasionally. So.
It's amazing how that happens. You can see, you know, a young guy, but just the way he walks and the way he approaches at bats and the way, obviously, the way he swings the bat, and he could swing, you know, both sides of the plate and break your heart. Pop up into right and tagging, but now heading on back. Pache, another good block by Vasquez there, and that is out number 2. We'll give this another try. We're so happy to have the Hall of Famer Chipper Jones with us. Chipper, great to see you, and now hopefully hear from you.
I think so. Thanks for having me, guys.
There we go. You're the best. And we talk. Lenny was talking about, you know, the first time he saw you, you know, there at Stetson. You looked like a big leaguer the very first time he ever laid eyes on you.
I tell you what, you know, I tried to take a little bit of that with me. You used to carry yourself like, man, this guy knows he's good. I tell you what, and used to just put on a show during batting practice and occasionally off of us during exhibition games. And
well, I got that swag from my mom, not my dad. My dad taught me off the mechanics and the fundamentals of everything, but mom had that swagger about her. She said, you know, whenever you step in that box, don't let anybody up inside your head. You let everybody know you're the best player out there whenever you step on the field.
You know, that's always interesting to me that a lot of guys say this, that they get so much from mom because, you know, your mom puts her heart and soul into your life and your career and everything baseball-wise too, right?
Well, my mom was a professional equestrian. She was very good at her craft. She's been riding for about 60 years now. And you know, whenever she rode into the ring, you could just tell she had the utmost confidence. It was like, you know, people would come from all over when she rode into the ring just to watch her ride, kind of like a Mark McGwire whenever he took batting practice. Everybody stopped what they were doing to watch him, and she was pretty much the same way, and I kind of learned that from her.
I didn't know that. You know, a guy like Chipper's been around for so long, Hall of Famer, one of the great guys at his position in the history of the game. I thought I knew everything about Chipper Jones. That anecdote right there is so cool that your mom's a professional athlete. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, and very athletic. I couldn't beat her in a foot race till I was probably 14 or 15. Just a tremendous athlete, strong as an ox, handling those horses, you know, every single day. She's definitely the rock of our family.
And no ideas. Freeman will take ball 4. Chipper, how are you enjoying this new role for yourself? Back in uniform, you look like you could step out and get 4 hits today. But how do you like this new role for you with Atlanta?
Well, I got a lot of gray in this beard now that says otherwise.
You and me both.
You know, I am enjoying my time thus far. You know, when I called Alex Anthopoulos this offseason, I really wanted to do a little more than just be the quote unquote assistant to the general manager. I really felt like I could see things on TV that I could help these guys with. And obviously we got a really good ball club here in Atlanta, and who wouldn't want to be a part of it, but actually getting down here in spring training and going through the nuts and bolts of it every single morning with these guys and learning what makes them tick has been a blast for me up until this point.
So Chipper, you got a Hall of Fame career. There's a lot of Hall of Famers out there that just didn't know how to teach it. Are you having an easy time kind of conveying what you did, how you went about your business, your swing mechanics and all of that?
Well, I think the most important thing is to not try and make people prototypical Chipper Jones hitters. You do your homework, you learn what works for them, what doesn't work for them. And being the son of a school teacher and a baseball coach, my whole life, learning how to communicate and get across your points are probably the most important things. And I think learning that is one thing that I got from my dad, is just being able to break everything down and simplify it as easy as possible for these guys.
That's the thing that I recall about your career, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chipper, but the 2 times in your career you ever got into a slump, you talked to your dad. Your father was the rock to lean on about things to do with your swing. And a guy who hit on both sides of the plate, that's he knew your swing on both sides.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, he's the one who knows it inside and out the best. He's seen it since day one. He's seen it evolve. He knows, kind of what makes me click. And whenever I did get into a slump early on in the season, whenever a new hitting coach came in, I said, look, you and I are going to be best buds, but if I really get to where I'm struggling, I hope you're not going to be mad if I bring Dad in, because it always seemed like whenever Mom and Dad came into town and we just talked hitting and got in a cage, things started to click. So I think most hitting coaches will tell you, whatever it takes to get their number 3 hitter rocking and rolling, they'll sit by and watch.
Darn right, yeah.
I can definitely attribute to that. Your dad was basically my third base coach, hitting coach in college, and I remember during batting practice watching him one day. There's guys taking hacks, and your dad was there. It almost felt like he was in the box. Every time a pitch was thrown, he would kind of flinch his hips a little bit, like he was actually putting himself in there, swinging the bat. And I tell you what, he helped me out a lot, and unfortunately, I wasn't talented enough to take it further than college as far as swinging the bat, but I appreciate everything he did for me.
Well, he's into every single pitch. Obviously, when I was playing, even more so. But I can't stand to sit down and watch a game with him. I can't take him to the ballpark with me in Atlanta, because if he's sitting next to me, it seems like he bumps me every pitch, because he's just, he's trying to he's trying to, make contact for the hitters. But that's Dad. He's a baseball lifer, always has been, always will be.
Chipper, how good is this team, this edition of the Braves, roundly predicted to win a very good division? But from the inside, what you're seeing, and obviously you've followed them very closely, what are your thoughts about how good this team's going to be?
I think they're going to be very good. Outlook looks great. These guys are playing well down here in spring training, right on schedule to be ready. April 1st. They got a little taste of playoff baseball. Won their first playoff series and since 2001 last year, was within one win of going to the World Series. And while that's a bitter pill to swallow, just that experience is going to do a world of good for these guys. They got close. They got a little taste of it. Now they want a little more. And, that was one of the talks that I had with those guys early on in spring training, is to say, hey, there's nothing like setting out for one common goal at Valentine's Day and being the last team standing at Halloween. And that's what we want for those guys. And we certainly have the talent here to do it.
Chipper, I got to tell a quick story. One of those exhibition games at Stetson, I remember, I think I struck you out on a borderline pitch. And you looked at me. I'm walking back to the dugout. I see you in my peripheral. And you look at me and you yell, hey, you going to call your folks? and I tell you what, I did. And I've held up my end of the bargain. I'm still telling random people around the grocery store about that 20 years ago, about that moment.
Well, I'm glad I could give you a reason to call home and brag to my dad. Listen, you're looking at the franchise leader in strikeouts for the Atlanta Braves. So you are the only guy to strike me out.
Come on, give me this.
But obviously, hey, I don't want to give you anything down there. I got to get good looks. Thank you for giving me that good look to get me ready, for spring training and the regular season. And obviously, I remember many of those duels back in the day. It was always fun to get out there and mix it up with the college guys.
On that topic, who is the toughest you ever faced in your major league career? Do you have one guy that you still have nightmares about? Because you hit everybody, but who's the one guy that maybe got you?
Well, I mean, there guys that got me. I mean, Pedro Martinez back in the day when he was Montreal and Boston, obviously dealt against me pretty good. I got him a little bit later on in his career when he was with the Mets. Randy was tough. He threw a perfect game against us one time, struck me out 3 times. I don't think I fouled off a pitch all night. Those are some of the givens. But the one guy, a lot of people can beat you with stuff, just overpowering stuff, but not too many of them pitch with it. And I always say that Clemens was one of the hardest guys to really put the ball in play, because he had stuff, but he pitched with it. Nothing was over the heart of the plate. I remember I had a 9-pitch at bat against him, my first at bat in Houston one time. I came back first inning and I'm just dripping sweat. And my teammate Eric Hinsky, comes up to me and he says, "Are you okay? I mean, you sick?" And I was like, "Bro, I just worked my tail off to ground out the shortstop." Off of Roger Clemens. He was as good as advertised.
Yeah, I hear that, and obviously we're not surprised with the numbers, but I hear that from so many hitters. They go right to Roger, and at all points of his career, really.
Well, now here's a couple of names that maybe you wouldn't throw out. Woody Williams, I was like 1 for 22 off of Woody Williams.
Really? Wow.
And I was 0 for 27 off of Hideo Nomo before I got my first hit off him.
Wow.
So those are two kind of, down the line guys that really gave me trouble.
Isn't that fascinating? I mean, it's amazing stuff. Chipper, you're a prince to spend the time with us. I am so happy that you're enjoying the gig here, and I know how much they're going to benefit from that. But it's great to see you in uniform, man. It really is. And congratulations on everything you've achieved. But thanks for spending a couple of minutes with us. You're awfully kind.
Thank you, Lenny. Thank you, Dave. And wish the Red Sox good luck. And hopefully we'll see y'all in the World Series come October.
Like that thought. Thanks, Chipper. Chipper Jones, the Hall of Famer. Very, very kind of him to take a couple of minutes. Great stuff. Your stories back to Stetson, too. I love that.
I'm not kidding either. I tell everybody.
Why wouldn't you? It would be the first thing I would say to most people that I meet for the first time. Hey, you know, I actually struck out Chipper Jones once.
Wish I had it on tape.
Hot shot. Swanson there to collect. They're going to turn it. Try to anyway. He's going to be safe at first. Renfroe beating the wrap and 2 down. And we'll send up Rafael Devers.
You know, you talk about the confidence that he has, the way he carries himself, but I tell you what, couldn't have been a nicer guy to us college guys back then. I mean, really took the time to talk to each and every one of us. Super down to earth. We learned a lot from, you know, not only what he was doing on the field, just kind of how he talked to the players.
Very personable guy.
Absolutely.
He'll be terrific in this role, and so much to offer. It's a good offensive team to begin with. That makes your job a lot of fun. 4-0 Atlanta. Runner at first for the Sox here. Rafael struck out his first at bat. And that one will sail up high from Morton, working into his 3rd inning. Started the inning by hitting Kike Hernandez with a pitch, but then he goes to the ground balls, and all of a sudden 2 down.
Anytime you put the first batter on first base, I think your next philosophy should be keep the ball down, let them beat it into the ground. You could have 2 outs with 1 pitch,
which he does a lot. It was reported that Tampa Bay, who he pitched for last year, was looking for a creative way to re-sign him and bring him back, because he was eligible to become a free agent after 2020. They declined his $15 million option for this season that allowed him to go free, and Atlanta scooped him up.
I think for 15 as well, so he ended up getting that. I mean, what's not to like about this guy? You look at what he's doing on the field, his numbers, you look at his pedigree, winning ball games in the postseason. He looks extremely comfortable right now at this point in spring training.
It's a great fit for the Braves, who thoroughly expect to be playing into October. Down on a knee, Rafael will pop that one up. Riley will make the catch for out number 3, so that'll do it for the Sox. 4-0 Atlanta.
Ticket plans provide fans with the best seat locations, price, and benefits. Plans begin at 10 and 20 games. For more information, call 877-RED-SOX-9 or visit redsox.com/season tickets.
Beautiful sights in Florida. Temperatures up into the 70s. Braves with a 4-0 lead over the Sox here as we go to the bottom half of the 3rd inning at Cool Today Park in Northport, Florida. About a half-hour drive south of Sarasota. And again, our sincere thanks to the great Chipper Jones for joining us. Josh Winkowski pitched in the minors in 2019. No minor league season last year, of course. He grew up in Fort Myers. Red Sox spring training site, of course. Attended Cypress Lake High School in Fort Myers until he transferred to another high school approximately 12 miles south of JetBlue Park. So, like Thad Ward, another Red Sox minor league pitcher, he has those strong connections to Fort Myers. And gets on the bump here for the 3rd inning. Garrett Richards, 2 innings, a lot of control problems. Walked 4 men today.
Yeah, that's not what he wanted to do today. You know, he ended up throwing 2 innings the other day. First inning, struggled a little bit and bounced back in the 2nd inning. It's a lot easier to leave the ballpark when that happens. Today just didn't feel comfortable with his mechanics, I'm assuming. You know, he's going to have to bounce back, maybe throw a few extra in the bullpen or on the side during this week.
Darno, Swanson, Riley, the scheduled triumvirate here for Atlanta. Winkowski's first year in a Red Sox organization, he was acquired in a 3-team deal with the Royals and the Mets. In fact, he was traded twice in a span of 15 days. Little roller, he'll scoop that up. 1 away. You mentioned Garrett Richards with 4 free passes and 3 of them scored.
Yes, that's a fastball up and away, just losing his front glove arm there. You know, there was at times where his fastball was on point, times where it wasn't, so the consistency just wasn't there. We talked about that pregame, just getting consistent in the zone, letting his movement stay in the zone and then off. It kind of started outside the zone and stayed off today. That was his issue.
1 out for Swanson. He has the big hit. Bases loaded, double. They scored 3 runs in the first inning.
Winckowski's he's a good example of a minor leaguer getting into an organization or getting into pro ball and developing certain types of workouts that you might not have known or had prior to going into pro ball. His fastball has an uptick in the past couple seasons just by having a plan, basically. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a high prospect, but I tell you what, if you get traded that many times, you're on people's radar. You're showing good things.
6'4", about 212 pounds, only 22 years old. Born at Toledo, Ohio. Now was throwing the ball well his last full season in the minor leagues in 2019. Up top to even the count of 2-2. Braves in good shape at shortstop with Swanson. They don't have many spots where they're not in good shape. And the 2-2, he got him. Put him away. 2 gone.
Nice fastball down in the zone right there. Had a little extra giddy up at the end of that. A lot of times the 4-seamers, when you throw it seems like it's, it starts to get faster as it goes. That's that 4-seam rotation working for you.
That'll send up Austin Riley, who grounded back to the mound in the first inning. Goes after the first one, launches a high one into right, but there's Renfroe. And it's a quick inning for Winckowski. Gets a 1-2-3.
Game this season. Download the NESN Red Sox calendar with your TV provider info to get the best experience, including game time information, previews, link to NESN.com, and more. Visit NESN.com/schedule today.
Dave O'Brien, Lenny DiNardo from our studios, NESN in Watertown, Mass. Red Sox are playing just south of Sarasota against the Atlanta Braves. Great to have you with us. 4-0 Atlanta. Winckowski with a nice inning there. This will be our second look at Huascar Ynoa. He started against the Sox last weekend in Fort Myers. Last season working occasionally as a starter. Now the bullpen, a 5.82 ERA. They like his arm.
Yeah, he's a swing guy, very versatile. He can spot start if you need to. Be a long guy, fill up any role. Be very surprised if he's not in a Braves uniform at some point this season.
So Charlie Morton goes the first 3 innings in his first start in the spring for Atlanta, and had a jam in the first inning, got out of that, gave up a double in the second inning, got out of that, hit a batter in the third, nothing came of that. So he looks like he is already in early season form.
Yeah, he's right where he wants to be right now. It's nice to go out and strike out the side, but when you're getting ground balls, you're pitching yourself out of jams in spring training. That's what you're going to be facing during the season. So you don't want it to be smooth sailing all the time. You want to be able to make yourself uncomfortable and get out of certain situations.
Christian Vasquez 0 for 1. He whiffed in the first inning. Red Sox bringing a lot of regulars to face Atlanta today, with Verdugo in the outfield, Vasquez behind the plate, Devers, Chavis over at first.
You've got 4 World Series champions down this lineup with 3 different clubs for the Red Sox, and for the Braves you've got 5 All-Stars and 4 Silver Sluggers. Pretty good offensive matchup altogether.
Yeah. Marwin Gonzalez on deck. There are a bunch of guys with this 2021 edition of the Red Sox that fans are going to have to get to know. Maybe not that familiar with guys like Marwin Gonzalez or Kike Hernandez or Hunter Renfroe quite yet. You remember Alex Cora, of course, back as the manager. You were saying the other day, the Red Sox finally won a game after, dropping the first couple in spring training, 1-1. Someone said, well, how important is it? And they said, well, where we play. You know our market. You know our fans. It's full-scale panic if the Red Sox start spring training with 3 losses. which they did not do. Sox right now at 3-3.
It's easy to say, it's spring training. These stats don't go on the back of our baseball cards or anything. But I tell you what, when they start off like they did, I want to say 2018, it was like 17-1 or something ridiculous. You know, you can talk about taking that momentum into the first week of the regular season.
I do think there are years where performing better in spring training is valuable. It's not that often where it means much. Every once in a while it does. And Alex Cora made a point of winning games in spring training 2018, and you could argue that that had a pretty good effect, getting out of the gate the way they did. Obviously that proved to be a great ball club. No matter what they did in spring training, that was going to be a great ball club.
Like you mentioned before, there's a lot of new faces in the clubhouse. You want to develop that winning atmosphere. You know, when you leave the clubhouse in spring training, if you play ball well that day, if you get a W, you know, you're going to take that, like I said, into the regular season. You develop a winning atmosphere, and all the guys tend to gel a little bit more when you're winning rather than losing.
Jammed in a foul ball by Vasquez. It was calling Marlin games in 1997, and Jim Leyland was the manager. And they had a lot of new faces, a lot of guys they had signed in the offseason. You know, Gary Sheffield was already there, Kevin Brown was there, Al Leiter. It was a really good ball club. But he said, look, we're going to win as many of these games as we can if we're in position to win them. Because oftentimes by the 8th or 9th inning, you've got a lot of kids from A ball and Double A who aren't going to be on your major league roster. They're deciding those spring training games. But he said, we will play to win those games just because we want that atmosphere, that environment of shaking hands after the game. We want to make that second nature.
Well, put yourself into a position to win. That comes down to starting pitching. You know, if you've got a guy that goes out there and gives you a strong 6 or 7, or in spring training a strong 3 or 4 to hand it off to the next guy, you're putting yourself in a position to win.
Right to the shortstop, Swanson. Vasquez 0 for 2. And a man out in the 4th inning. I think Jim Leyland that year was very mindful, as Alex Cora was in 18, that he had a really good team. He wanted them to gel very quickly, to be fast out of the gate, to show people what they were all about. And, you know, in those spring trainings, that can be really valuable to win that many games in the Grapefruit League. Sometimes it doesn't mean much. Sometimes teams don't have many wins to show in their spring schedule, and they win 105 games.
Yeah, and it really does come down to a good clubhouse atmosphere. I know Alex is a great communicator, and he's doing his best to make all his guys gel. You know, giving awards to different players and coaches, even front office people, you know, kind of calling them out for doing great work in front of everybody. That's one of the things that he does really, really well, kind of praising his players when they succeed.
We just saw Christian Vasquez. I mean, I think he's the guy wearing the BP belt right now. That this is a new thing, and if you're excelling in batting practice, I'd love to understand exactly what goes into that, like how you get to wear the belt. You know,
is it more home runs? Is it spraying all fields?
Dying to find out.
I don't know.
Dying to find out. 2 to Gonzalez, and right through that one he strikes out. 2 gone. It was Christian yesterday, proudly wearing, I mean really proudly wearing the belt.
Wow.
You would too, though. I mean,
absolutely. I was an old school wrestling fan back when Barry Windham and the Yellow Dog and Ric Flair.
Oh, Ric Flair, you are going back.
Yeah.
Big cut by Chavis, who has a double today that he blooped into right field. A very important spring for this young man. Trying to earn a spot.
I know one thing we talked about, and he's talked about, is in the zone, he needs to swing at pitches that are where he can hit them. That high fastball up and in, high and tight, I don't think he's capable of getting to that. So he has to be a little bit more selective, see the ball one zone, and kind of stay away from the ones that he knows he can't get to.
And a swing and a miss, strike 3, and Inoa very sharp as he gets him in order with a couple of Ks. By Xfinity, the fastest internet in Boston. Franchi Cordero, 4 major league seasons between San Diego and Kansas City. That home run exit velocity will catch your eye, 108.9. Third best in Major League Baseball with a minimum of 10 home runs. Brand new outfielder for the Sox. We move on to the bottom half of the fourth inning. Lenny DiNardo, Dave O'Brien with you. Jerry Remy with the weekend off. And Atlanta with a 4-0 lead. And Matt Barnes will make an appearance. He'll become the third Red Sox hurler of the day. Look at Matt's numbers last year. And wound up appearing in 24 games. Just a .214 batting average against.
Barnes has got a power arm, off the table, 12-6 breaking ball. He uses it a lot.
9 saves last year. Alex Cora is hoping for many more than that over a full season this year. And Lamb, who walked and scored in the second inning, will lead things off here for Atlanta. Did you get a look at Trevor Bauer of the Dodgers?
I did.
Who actually pitched against San Diego with one eye closed on purpose.
He actually posted a video with his head over, I want to say, a pirate, Jack Sparrow, one of those guys, kind of sailing around. He put a lot of effort into this video.
Oh yeah.
And gosh, I just don't know. We talk about all the time, you know, making yourself uncomfortable. I mentioned it an inning ago, but this is not typically what I'm talking about.
He said, I figure if they can't score off me with one eye open, it's going to be difficult to score off me with two eyes open. Just having a little bit of fun.
Makes a point. It's a little Barnum and Bailey for me.
Well, he's different. He's a different cat. You know very well with his training methods have always been talked about. He said he routinely keeps one eye closed in the bullpen. In bullpen sessions, he's playing long toss and stuff like that. He said it's about making myself uncomfortable and throwing different stuff my way and trying to find a solution for it. But that's something I'd want to make sure I talk to my manager about, you know, beforehand. Like, this is Dave Roberts, this is what I'm doing today. I just want you to know I'm not crazy.
I had a hard enough time competing with two eyes. I couldn't imagine going out there with one eye closed. And I've heard of pitchers actually during their side sessions getting out there and closing both eyes and going through their mechanics and just kind of working on feel rather than vision. But actually competing against a big league hitter with one eye open and one eye closed is, I just don't know. It's different.
They played San Diego. Of course, that's going to be a great race between those two out west, the Dodgers and San Diego. The Padres were coming off a Friday night game. They didn't play most of their starters, and Bauer did not get another crack at Manny Machado, who has owned him to the tune of 588 in his career. And Bauer actually made a YouTube video analyzing Machado's success against him.
Of course he did.
He's different, man. He is. Yeah. He's different. Bauer did joke that Machado was already ducking him. You know, strike three there.
The stuff is there, though. You have to admit, and the things that he's done physically.
I think he's an outstanding pitcher.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's not a huge deal.
Barnes is coming out of the chute throwing smoke today. It's good to see him throwing strikes, commanding the zone.
Yep, puts away Pache there, who tripled earlier in the game. So 2 fast outs for Matt. Brings up Acuna Jr., who has flied out and struck out. Four nothing the Braves, and a trickler foul for strike one. We may see Josh Taylor today. May see Colton Brewer today. Right-hander Garrett Whitlock also could see an inning.
Sox's Rule 5 player this year. Always a special place in my heart seeing those guys succeed, being one of them.
That's kind of life on the edge a little bit.
It wasn't easy. Yeah. It's not easy for me, and I think it's the same for him. I never pitched in a AAA park. I was pitching in front of hot dog vendors and players' girlfriends, and then the next year I'm at Fenway Park pitching in front of 36,000 plus.
You know, you have to pitch well if you
to.
want to stay there, because they can send you right back. There's added pressure with that.
There's a little bit of pressure. I'll never forget when Tito Francona pulled me aside and told me I made the club one of the happiest days of my life. Could actually start breathing towards the end of spring training.
Marcus Wilson now in center field. Verdugo finished for the day. Big wave and a miss. Of course, he's got that terrific curveball. Did Tito have like a funny line when he gave you the news? Anything that really stood out, or was he completely serious?
No, I tell you,
that's a big moment for a kid.
I wish I had a Tito impression right now, and I'd go through it. But we're in the middle of PFP practice, pitcher's fielding practice, for those that don't know. And right in the middle of it, I think I field the ball, throw it to first base, and he just basically says, "Hey kid, come over here." You know. Basically, I just want to let you know that.
There you go.
You're going with us. You made it.
Isn't that nice? 4-0 Atlanta. Sox playing the Atlanta Braves today. It's been all Atlanta so far as they lead at 4-0. Lenny DiNardo, Dave O'Brien alongside from our studios here in Watertown. That is Pablo Sandoval now taking over at first base for the Braves. Still out there doing it.
Can't miss him.
And Inoa will continue to pitch.
Real strong inning for Inoa. He's a guy that they're going to want to go multiple innings, whether it's starting or mid-relief. Trying to build up right now.
Really strong inning out of Matt Barnes. Looked really sharp. 2 punch outs. Got him very quickly.
Locating his fastball. Breaking ball looks pretty sharp. Getting some bad swing and misses.
Puello takes one just a little low. He has grounded out to first. 0 for 1.
Inoa does a great job of staying on top of the ball, creating that nice downward angle. You see some guys with lower arm slots. It looks like it comes in at more of a straighter path. He's starting high and that ball ends low.
Xander Bogaerts continues to make his way back from a sore shoulder. We have not seen Bogey yet, but he's making progress. High bounder. Sandoval handles that. Inoa gets the first one away. The hope is from Alex Cora that you'll be seeing Xander as a DH by next weekend. And maybe the following week he'll start to play some shortstop. That's the hope, if this continues to improve. Not a red flag thing.
You just want to play it safe with shoulders. Shoulders are a little bit more complicated than elbows, so it's just about building up and creating a progression to get him strong enough. That's not an easy throw to make from shortstop, especially when oftentimes you're off balance.
Arauz 0 for 1 with a strikeout. I just think that's one player. There are a couple on this Red Sox team, but one who should not be taken for granted. What Xander has been able to do over the course of the last few seasons. I mean, even last year, he played in 56 games. He had 300 on the button with 11 home runs. The year before that, 309 full season, 309, 33 home runs, 117 runs batted in, had almost 200 hits, scored 110 runs, had a tremendous year.
You really can't ask for more consistent wise. I mean, he's not only on the field, he's been a quiet clubhouse leader. You know, he's not a big rah-rah. He's not the guy leading the charge, but he's one of those guys that leads by example, goes out there day in and day out, leaves it on the field.
He's also a very thoughtful interview. You and I were talking about some guys before our broadcast today, and the guys you have fun talking to. And Xander Bogaerts is one. I'm not sure he gets enough credit for this, but it's not, you know, the cliche handbook. He will actually give an answer, oftentimes surprising you with the response. It's not just, I'm going to reach into that bag. It's the same thing everyone else is saying. That's not Xander. He's a really bright guy, great clubhouse guy, as you mentioned. They love him in there. Obviously, you love him on the field. But strangely enough, I think sometimes he gets taken for granted in Boston when you talk about the big stars in sports in the city. Yeah, I don't know if that's my imagination or not, but that's just how I kind of look at it.
I totally agree. You know, and I think it just goes down to him going about his business, playing the game his way hard. Very athletic play on the field, and it's a quiet 300 last season. I mean, you didn't really talk about it, you know, and you're going to hear more about the rah-rah guys in the clubhouse.
Right,
All the reporters are going to kind of flock to them. What's he going to say today?
Sure.
Right? But,
and Xander's not a guy who seeks the spotlight.
no, not at all.
But his performance merits a lot more, I think, than he gets. A swing and a miss by Arauz. 2 up and 2 down.
It's a nice example of throwing the ball where it looks like it's a good pitch and the ball just runs out. It almost looks like it had a little bit of four-seam movement right there. Little last-minute rise. Now, the ball's not rising. It's just the illusion of the ball rising because those four seams are grabbing the air.
Kike Hernandez with a double, and he's been hit by a pitch. And a strike. Kike has known Alex Cora since he was a little kid in Puerto Rico, when Kike's father was a baseball coach, and that's how he met Alex for the first time. So they go way back, kind of like your story with Chipper Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, baseball is a small world. It really is a small world. You play the game long enough, you end up knowing everybody.
So I think Alex Cora very enthusiastic about signing him. Of course, he has a World Series pedigree coming from Los Angeles and the Dodgers. Can play anywhere but catcher.
Seems like another guy that'd be great for the clubhouse as well. Pretty outgoing guy.
Toward the hole, but that one filled. Albies up and over. That's all. Red Sox go quietly in inning number 5.
Remember when you just started your...
Matt Barnes dominating today, did exactly what he wanted to do, throwing strikes inside the zone with a lot of heat, using his curveball effectively, a lot of break on it. Walking off the field, it's a good day for him.
Love to see that every 9th inning.
That's it.
From Matt Barnes, he was on it. Good to see this early in spring training. 4-0 Atlanta. And Josh Taylor comes out of the bullpen, a left-hander. Not a whole lot to speak of last season for Josh because he was on the DL or the injured list. 2 different stints. But the previous year, in 2019, he appeared in 52 games, 2-2 with a ERA of 3.04.
It's going to give you another look from the left side.
Entering his 3rd season in a Red Sox uniform, broke in originally with the Phillies in their organization in 2014. Did not pitch in the major leagues, but then it was on to Arizona. Made his major league debut in 19 with Boston. Albies has walked. He's also flied out. He has scored a run. The first inning, Atlanta got 3 off of Garrett Richards, who had a lot of trouble finding the strike zone in his 2 innings. He walked 4 men. Loaded up the bases when he walked Ozuna in the first, and then Dansby Swanson really made him pay with a 3-run double. They added another run, and a walk played a vital role in that in the 2nd inning.
So far, the bullpen's been impressive, and it all comes down to throwing strikes early in the count, getting ahead, staying ahead. Hitter's going to have an uncomfortable at bat if you're 1-2, 0-2.
And that'll sail off into the stands. Christian Arroyo has taken over at second base for Hernandez. And Wong now behind the plate. He takes over for Christian Vasquez. The game, both managers agreed would go 9 innings. Wave and a miss. Made a good pitch down to the dirt. Fooled Albies. Good hitter. He struck him out.
That's a good example of throwing a ball that looks like a good pitch to hit. When it leaves its hand, he's got fastball arm speed. By the time the hitter makes up his mind that it might not be a good pitch to hit, that's what the swing looks like.
So one man gone. And here's Pablo batting for the first time. I think probably the first thing that most Red Sox think of, first or second, when Pablo comes up on screen here is, oh, are we still paying him? And the answer to that is no.
Off the books.
I would almost guarantee that's the first thing the average Sox fan thinks about.
It's a really good changeup right there by Taylor. He's really selling it. It's got a lot of downward action.
Sandoval in for Freddie Freeman, who started the game at first base, had a hit today. Freddie had an interesting offseason. He announced this when he came to spring training. He said that he and his wife Chelsea are the proud parents of twin baby boys. Great story. But they were born 6 weeks apart. Off third base, Devers will sling that one on target. Now Chelsea gave birth to Brandon on December 30th, and on Valentine's Day a brother Maximus joined the family from a surrogate mother. The Freemans had been told several years ago they probably were not going to be able to have another child. They had a 4-year-old son. He was born by emergency cesarean section, so they were told you're probably never going to get pregnant again, have another child. Well, they chose the surrogate route. They were about to have the embryo transfer, and 9 days before that happened, Chelsea said, Freddie, we're pregnant again. It's a true story. And they were stunned. They decided to go through with the surrogate part of the other birth as well. So the babies were born 6 weeks apart.
That's incredible.
It's a great story. They said, yep, we plan to have 2 babies. We're going to go ahead and do that. Ozuna with a sharp single. With 2 now, and he picks up his first knock of the day. Tell you what, that's a busy household.
I've never heard of anything like that.
Neither had I. Yeah.
They'll have a friend for life in the same grade. Switch one car when they're 16.
Yeah.
Just share it.
Exactly. Just save a couple bucks. Not that Freddie's got to worry about that. Ozuna coming out after his base hit. He also scored a run in the first inning. And Irvin running for him. With 2 men out. Darno has struck out. He has grounded out. We had Chipper Jones on earlier. You know, Chipper had that great story with Freddie Freeman where they had the snowstorm several years ago in Atlanta. And Freddie, you know, not used to driving in it. And, you know, cars were bumper to bumper on I-95 there in Atlanta as the runner will move up. Bad snowstorm. You know what it's like driving in the snow in Atlanta anyway. It's terrible. No one knows how to drive in it. But it was a bad storm. And Freddie said, man, I'm stuck. I've been here for hours. He calls Chipper Jones. And Chipper, I think he got on a snowmobile or something like that and came out and got him and brought him back. You know, it's dramatic. It was like, oh, he saved his life.
Well, every New Englander out there is going to laugh at me, but I'm from Florida originally. I've been living in Rhode Island for about 5.5 years, and I've had a couple experiences where, man, this is not comfortable driving my kids to school or wherever. Yeah. It's pretty scary.
You really kind of have to be raised in it, you know. And I was, luckily, gratefully, so I don't have a lot. Most of us New Englanders, 6 inches, we could care less. We're out on the road, you know, doing everything. But if you're from Florida, you're from Georgia, you're not used to it, man. You don't know how to, you know, turn against the skid and all that stuff.
I didn't see snow until I was probably 18 years old.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this, you know, there's an art to it. There's a skill to it. You're born into it. It's one thing.
I'm the guy in the far right lane going about 15 miles per hour on the highway. That's my philosophy.
Good for you, though. You know, better safe than sorry. Me, I'm probably doing 55, going right by you.
Just making it look easy, right?
Right. Oh, got to be safe out there. Or, you know, if you're stuck, call Chipper.
Noted.
They'll come get you.
It's a long way on a snowmobile or
I think that's what it was. I think it was a snowmobile. Which makes me wonder, why would he have a snowmobile in Atlanta? Trickle to short. Arauz will scoop and fire. Made a nice play. One man left. 4-0 Atlanta. 50-50 raffle presented by DraftKings coming your way. The raffle helps the Red Sox Foundation's efforts to support the recovery of local communities, and fans over 18 in Florida and Massachusetts can buy tickets at redsox.com/5050 right now through the 7th inning of the game on Sunday, March 28th. The jackpot currently over $5,000. Please see official rules for full details. What do you think? Real or not real?
I'm going to go real with that one. I've seen plenty of those in swimming pools, yards, drainage ditches, just about everywhere in Florida.
Yes. On the green, maybe at a golf course. I've seen a couple of those.
I remember growing up, my dad pulled a 3-footer out of the drainage ditch right in front of our house, relocated it.
Got to look out for the cats and the small dogs, you know.
I mean, they're dinosaurs. I mean, really.
Marcus Wilson, right-hand hitter, trying to check, and he did. Originally out of Los Angeles, that's where he was born. 2019 at Jackson, Portland, and Salem. So he hit 3 different spots. He was acquired from Arizona in exchange for Blake Swihart in April of 19. Strike. Well, you know, it's looked really good.
He's looking outstanding right now. I mean, he's getting ahead, staying ahead, looks cool and composed out there. Mechanically, there's not a lot going on. There's not a lot of unnecessary movement. Just driving downhill.
Facing a 24-year-old outfielder. 2-2. Braves made a bunch of changes. Heredia in center field, Almonte in right, Irvin taking over for Ozuna in left. Hit the other way for a base hit into right field. Wilson is on.
It's a good piece of hitting right there. Nice 4-seam fastball, belt high. He wanted that down to the zone.
Here's Renfroe. He's lined out to center and hit the ball on the ground for a fielder's choice. Tough season last year. Did play in the World Series for Tampa Bay. That'll get by. Contreras could not corral that. So Wilson advances to second.
That's a ball you got to keep in front there. That's poking your hand out instead of your whole body. You got to get in front of that, keep it in front.
So pass ball on Contreras. RBI opportunity. Red Sox trying to get into the scoring column here. Boy, he takes a big swing. He does not get cheated.
When that ball connects to the bat, it goes a long way.
Of course, this year baseball has made an effort to deaden baseballs, to take some of the life and some of the home runs away that have gotten out of hand in the last couple of years.
Never thought I'd see the day. I mean, really.
I never thought I'd see the day where baseball announced that they were doing something with the baseball before the season began.
Now, are they doing it because something was done prior? That's what I don't know. Was it
good question.
When you say was it juiced before? When did that happen?
That's a good question.
You know,
I don't know the answer to that as Renfroe swings on a 3-1. Got under it. Little lofter into left center. And a sliding effort there by Heredia, but can't make the play. A play at third and safe. Wilson. Red Sox catch a little bit of a break. Renfroe on at first.
It's a good job by Wilson reading the ball on the ground right there.
Heredia had a pop right out of the mitt, right out of the glove. So they're on at first and third, and nobody out. And Getty's now running for Hunter Renfroe, who gets a base hit. And now Rafael Devers, he has gone 0 for 2. He has struck out, popped up. Yeah, it's not the tradition of Major League Baseball to announce something like that, or even really to talk much about, well, what's going on with the baseballs. So like after the London series between the Red Sox and the Yankees, I wanted a press conference to figure, you know, someone to say, hey, we did this to the baseballs because they behaved like golf balls for that series. Now granted, you had two very good lineups, but the ball was just screaming out of there. It's almost like, you know, somebody made a different set of baseballs for that series.
And nothing came of that.
Nothing came of that. You know, baseball doesn't like to talk about, you know, something different with the baseball, that wound tighter or whatever it might be, whether there's a Super Bowl, whatever it might be. This year, though, they've come out and said, we're deadening the ball. We're taking some life out of it. Big swing and a miss. Runner coming home on a pitch that gets away, and the Red Sox score on a wild one as Wilson comes in, and that makes it 4-1. Down to second, Geddes.
Big sweeping breaking ball in the dirt right there. I'm sure it made Devers' swing right there made it a lot harder to actually see the ball and block it up right there, allowing Wilson to score.
So a wild pitch makes it a 3-run game. And Rafael takes a vicious hack, comes up empty. He strikes out for the second time today. One away.
That's making a slight adjustment right there. I mean, we're talking about the half the size of a dime in release point between the pitch prior to that one and that. He's getting his opportunity after a strong outing so far to actually make himself get out of a jam, to feel uncomfortable. We talked about earlier, you don't want to just go out there and cruise throughout spring training.
Arroyo with a base hit into center field. Geddes around to score. The throw is cut, and the Red Sox have cut the lead in half in this inning. Arroyo not waiting around.
Jumping on the first pitch, doing a great job keeping the barrel on top, keeping the bat flat. That's a pitch a lot of guys are going to get under because it is up in the zone.
So Red Sox with 3 hits in this inning. They hit 2 the entire ball game until the 6th. And Enoa will depart. Atlanta makes the pitching change. So we will take the break as well. Red Sox have a man on, a man out. 2 runs in, 4-2 Atlanta.
Shop.com. Check out new 2021 gear at the shop. Shop the largest selection of official caps, t-shirts, and hoodies, collectibles, and more. Gear up with the Red Sox at MLBshop.com.
Very smoothly done, by the way, with your promos and your reads today.
I tell you, I'm getting a little sip of water right now. I got a little cotton mouth after that last one.
Wore you out a little bit.
It's hard work.
Some of them are definitely longer than others. Kurt Hoekstra into the ball game. Right-hander firing in a strike on Marwin Gonzalez. Could prove to be a very valuable guy for the Sox. Switch hitter. Been around a while. He's 32. Played about 1,000 games in his career. Boy, that one almost got away. Last year with Minnesota. It's been a long time with the Houston Astros.
He's another guy in the lineup with not only World Series experience, he's got a World Series win. I remember after the 2004 season, Pokey Reese came up to me and he said, "Do you realize how special this is?" And I you know, 2004 World Series, 86 years curse, I knew it was special, but just in general, getting to a World Series and winning it's a special thing, and having that many players on a squad with multiple teams, it's going to help to create that winning atmosphere. If you know how to do it, you can get there again.
Base hit here for Gonzalez to put him on the corners. That's the 4th hit in the inning for Boston, all of them singles. And we'll bring up Michael Chavis for the 3rd time. He has a double, a strikeout today, 1 for 2. Nick York will run for Marwin Gonzalez. If you're scoring at home. And a breaking ball misses in for ball 1. Tomorrow, one of those rare spring training off days. No game tomorrow.
I think he's encouraging guys to stay home, just to give them a little strategic breather. Spring training can get long. You want them to get into the season being healthy, and not only a physical break, but just a mental break as well for everybody.
(2-0) to Chavis. Not tempting enough. So 3-0 to Michael. Chavis 42 games in 2020, hit 5 home runs. Of course, had 18 in 95 games 2 years ago.
I know one thing he's worked on is pitch selection, pitch recognition, and being a little bit more selective up there, and that's a good example of how it pays off. We know what happens when a runner's put on for free.
Now he'll take a walk to fill him up. Bases loaded. Red Sox building a rally here. A couple of runs in already. And Jairo Munoz, who had a fun audition last season, really swung the bat. So we always notice with Jairo Munoz, he actually will choke up on the bat.
It's an old school approach.
Rips into that one for a base hit. Arroyo coming around. York coming around and safe at third base. And the Red Sox have tied it. Jairo all smiles again, and the Red Sox have evened it up 4-4.
They're seeing good pitches to hit relatively early this inning. Hanging breaking ball up in the zone. Sitting back a little bit, driving it. You know, that choking up on the bat, that's something you used to teach back in the day with 2 strikes, but he's right out of the chute choking up.
Yep, not looking to hit the ball 500 feet, but wanting to make good contact, and he does that a lot, actually. So 2nd and 3rd, only 1 out. Red Sox have tied it at 4. And Arauz can put the Sox in the lead for the first time today. As he looks at a strike. One and one. 2021 season will be the 20th for the Red Sox current ownership group. John Henry and Tom Werner. Last 19 years, Red Sox have won more World Series than any other team. They won 4. No other American League team has won multiple World Series titles in that time. This group wants to be competitive and get back to postseason play if they're capable. So much of that's going to come down to how good Alex Cora's pitching staff, his rotation first and foremost, can be, and I can almost guarantee it's going to be better than last year.
Yeah, you talk about building a winning culture. It starts from the top down. What you put in, you're going to get out. Alex is doing his best to keep a positive atmosphere around the clubhouse, like we said earlier, giving awards to certain players and coaches and helping the team gel. It's going to come down to pitching at the end of the day. If you can pitch, if you can throw strikes, if you can get your starter deeper into the game, hand the ball off to as few guys as possible, you'll be in a good spot.
One golf to the first baseman Sandoval. He'll tap the bag for the out. So 2 away. Runners at second and third. Back up to the top of the order for Boston.
Had the opportunity to play in multiple organizations, and I can tell you firsthand, even back then, you know, breakfast was served. They wanted to basically invest in the players, give them something good to eat in the morning. All the facilities were top notch, so we had the availability of getting better on the field, off the field. You know, different organizations don't necessarily have that. I've heard stories of other minor leaguers fighting over a jar of peanut butter in the morning before you go out to a long day at the ballpark. So putting good things in your body, being able to work out, it's going to help what you do on the field.
Connor Wong, the hitter. Still a chance for the Sox to grab the lead here at Cool Today Park in Northport, Florida. Wong, right-hand hitter from Houston, Texas. Was in the Dodgers system. In 2019 at Tulsa, he batted .349 with 9 home runs. And before that, at Rancho Cucamonga, he hit 15 home runs. So he has power. Out of the University of Houston, and a sailing fastball to make it 3-1, so he has a good count.
Hoekstra just having a hard time finishing his pitches. You know, the most important part of your pitch is the last inch. He's just not quite getting there with his fastball or his breakable at the moment.
Chavis and Munoz lead away. And that's going to be inside ball 4. So again, the Red Sox have them loaded. And they have batted around here in the 6th inning.
Pedro Martinez is a classic example of a guy that really uses the last inch on every one of his pitches, whether it's his fastball, his breaking ball, or his changeup. He had these extremely large hands, and he would use those fingers to really extend out towards home plate. I remember seeing him long toss, and he would throw changeups, and it would almost boomerang. He would reach out front. It would start probably 20 feet to the right and then fade all the way back left about 200 feet away. Just
long toss changeups.
With his changeup, it created fastball arm speed when he gripped the changeup and he threw it 250 feet away. Just an incredible, to watch the spin on that ball was like spinning on the Earth's axis, if you can picture that.
Sure. Wilson started this inning with a base hit, came in to score. We're tied 4-4. Bases loaded up. And Pedro with those long, slender fingers, you know.
Yeah.
Large hands,
Yep.
you know, the long, slender and Tom Seaver was another guy like that. You know, dear friend of mine, we lost Tom, and the Hall of Famer worked with him on the Mets, and he had the same thing.
Yeah, there's something to it. Koufax, another guy with super long fingers.
Koufax too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, Pedro, he could put his hands in his pockets and scratch his ankles. I mean, he had the long arms, long fingers. He was just, he used them.
And then you think of all the other stuff. I mean, the wonderful arms on those guys, the incredible intelligence. I mean, so smart, you know, smarter than every hitter they faced.
And the ultimate competitors, all of them.
Oh, yes. Off the charts competitiveness. I think all major leaguers have that, but and pros in any sport have that, but those guys were on a different planet.
And it's something, as a coach, you have a hard time teaching, because these guys are drawing from something, who knows what. You can teach a guy, you know what, if you stay behind the ball, you might pick up a few miles per hour, this and that, something mechanically might help. But teaching a guy to go out there and dig deep during competitive situations and be able to have that bulldog mentality is something that, you know, teaching youngsters, as I do now, it's something I fight with every day. You know, how do I get this guy to be a bulldog on the mound? The stuff's there. The stuff will only get you so far. Pedro Martinez, without the mentality, is not the Pedro Martinez that we know today. as good as he was.
3-2, bases loaded, 2 down. So here we go. And a roller foul by Wilson. So they will do it again with the bases all jammed up. Red Sox trying to go out in front today. They were down 4-0 going into this inning. Chavis at third, Munoz at second, and Wong at first. And strike 3. Tough pitch. Called a strike. You leave them loaded. We're still tied.
/groups or email groupsales@redsox.com.
A lot of wildlife shots from Mike Narachi today. You notice that?
Tons. Feel like I'm back home.
We've got an absolute theme here today. It's probably for you, Lenny. Get you back to Florida in your mind's eye.
Those guys are crushing snails right now, I'm guessing.
Tied up 4-4 here at Cool Today Park. Atlanta with 7 hits. Sox with 7 hits. Atlanta with 4. And both sides have played error-free as Colton Brewer will take over, looking to better those numbers from a season ago. It's kind of a tough run for Colton, a 5.61 ERA and 0-3.
I like seeing that line with 0 errors on both sides, because that's been something that it's been in the forefront. You know, Alex, he's big on defense. You want to go into a season with good defense. Your defense and your pitching work hand in hand. If you can't field it, the pitchers are going to struggle. So it's a positive to see them today catching it and throwing it.
2 years ago for San Diego, he had a 5.59 ERA, but for the Red Sox in 2019, and 3 years ago with San Diego, a couple of years ago with the Sox, 1-2 in 58 appearances. We'll see if he gets used that often here in 2021. But he is a guy who can go out there a lot during the course of a week.
It's a lot of appearances. You know, he's got the ability to move up in the zone. He's got a nice little 2-seamer. We saw that for the first pitch.
Camargo, the hitter, will slash at that one and foul it away. Batting out of the 6th spot. So 6, 7, and 8 here for the Braves. Red Sox have put Garrett Richards on the bump today. Winkowski, Barnes, Taylor, and now Brewer. Fouled off on a curveball.
Just a click high. He wants that about 3 baseball lengths lower. Better opportunity for a swing and miss or a ground out. The mentality does change when you have 2 strikes as a pitcher. You really have to bear down, take that deep breath, and think about going through a wall every time you throw it.
Red Sox only played a couple of innings yesterday before the rains came, and Atlanta was also rained out. So both managers need to get guys on the field and get their pitching staffs on the mound today. So they agreed to play 9 innings in this one, as Brewer hauls it in, 1 away. Red Sox making a couple of more changes. Jairo Munoz takes over in left. Geddes over in right field. And Chad De La Guerra taking over third for Rafael Devers.
See Brewer fielding that ball right there, running it over to first base and throwing it underhand. A lot of pitchers have a hard time actually throwing a ball on a flat ground to first base, so they just elect to basically run the ball halfway there, make the safe underhand throw. For some reason, who knows why, a lot of guys just have I think it's a mental block more than anything. They throw the ball and it ends up 4 rows deep.
Sure. One of those errors you were talking about last weekend came into play like that.
I was the type of pitcher, if I were to field a ground ball, I've got to throw it as hard as I can to first base, because if I thought about taking anything off, it would either not get there or go about 18 rows deep.
Braves with a base runner on the single. So that'll put a man on with a man out.
Just found a hole.
De La Guerra just into the ball game. So one man aboard for the Braves. The rule here in the early days of spring training 2021 is games can be 5 or 7 innings, but the managers do have the option of playing 9 if they want. They have to talk about it the day before, and the decision has to be made by 5 p.m. the previous day if they plan on playing a longer game or a shorter game of 5 innings.
Well, you made a great point. After yesterday's rainout, these guys need innings. They need ABs. They need to see pitches. It's all about repetition at this point, especially with a day off tomorrow. It's a lot of missed baseball. Rain out, day off 2 days later. Got to get it in.
Lamb has drawn a walk and scored. He's also tapped to second. That's a strike.
He's going to try to induce a ground ball right here. Something with late movement, moving away. I'm going to keep it out of the air.
Fouled off, but on the ground, and an even count, 2-2. This is a bit of a missed opportunity for us. We have not been to this particular ballpark for spring training to broadcast a game from. And if you're a connoisseur of ballparks and you enjoy that sort of thing, sampling the hot dogs, for example.
Now you're speaking my language.
There you go. Nice scoop out at second. The turn and got him. Double play. Nicely turned by the Red Sox on the infield to get out of the inning. By Xfinity.
It's a nice little breaking ball right there. It's exactly what he needed to do. Runner on first base. You're looking for something to break late and downward. Get the barrel of the ball over. It's a good job inducing that double play right there. Sox throwing the gloves out there today. That's what we want to see.
Real point of emphasis from Alex Cora. Improving defense. Obviously pitching is first and foremost, but after that improving the defensive play, which was certainly not a strength of the 2020 Red Sox. We're tied up here 4-4 going to the 7th inning. Tyler Matzek takes over on the bump. 21 appearances last year. Threw the ball very well, a .279 earned run average. So he becomes the new Atlanta hurler. Red Sox fighting back, getting 4 runs last inning to tie this one up. And Geddes will lead things off. Wailing after the first one comes up empty.
They did a good job last inning, seeing good pitches hit early in the count. That was his thinking right there. I'm going to jump on the first nice fastball I see. The ball had a little giddy up on it though.
Good minor league power out of Geddes. And a strike. .31 home runs. So serious pop there. Originally out of Gainesville, Georgia. And down into the dirt. Good block by Contreras. California on Friday lifted some coronavirus restrictions on outdoor sports and entertainment. That includes Major League Baseball opening day and Disneyland. Disneyland there will be opening for the first time in more than a year.
Wow.
California. The Padres, the Angels, and the Oakland A's all announced they will have fans in attendance opening day April 1st. The Dodgers and the Giants both start their seasons on the road. They said they'd announce their plans later. And of course fans will be allowed in About 4,400 opening day at Fenway Park on April 1st when the Red Sox take on the Orioles.
I'll tell you, the Coliseum in Oakland, you could fit a lot of people in there with 6 foot.
Yeah.
You could probably fit the normal capacity, 80-something thousand people in there, and have everybody 6 feet apart.
Yes, it is cavernous.
Yes, it is.
Ripped. And that's a fair ball down the line. Got by the third baseman Goins, and into second base is Geddes. He's got himself a 2-base hit. So the leadoff man off for the Sox here in the 7th.
Nice job recognizing a breaking ball, staying with it, keeping the barrel inside, driving it right down the line. A lot of times with the breaking ball, it's a little bit slower than the fastball. Your barrel gets out ahead just a little too much, and you drive that foul.
So De La Guerra to climb in, an opportunity for the Red Sox to jump out in front. They have trailed or been tied all day.
No outs, runner on second base. You see that pitch is up and away. He's going to do his best to keep the hitter from hitting it to that side of the infield. De La Guerra wants to drive the ball to right field any way he can to move that runner to third base.
Holds that bat high. You're talking about the Coliseum in Oakland, and they've had so much difficulty out there trying to get a new ballpark built, have not been able to accomplish that. Yet they've done a lot of winning.
Sure. I tell you, I loved pitching there with all the foul ground. I mean, you're talking outs versus strikes in any other ballpark.
Sure. Why wouldn't
couldn't beat it.
Couple extra outs a game.
Yeah. They were talking about building a new park when I was there. This is probably 2007.
Right. I like being out there for day games. Sun shining is beautiful.
It really is. Feel the wind coming off the water.
Big cut and a miss, and the count moves to 2-2. When the A's are good, and they often are, and they're drawing fans, their fans are into it.
Yeah, I remember seeing the same faces there every game. If you're an Oakland fan, you are an Oakland fan, and you go to all the games.
You're probably a Raider fan too, and that means you're cut from a different cloth.
Absolutely.
Than the average sports fan.
I went up to the Raider locker room one time just to, I don't know what we were doing, but they said, you guys want to check it out? We walked up there just to take a peek. I've only been to a few NFL games. One was a Raider game, the other a Patriot. I went to a Dolphin game, and it's an experience, I tell you what.
A big part of that city they were for a long time. 2-2. Waved at and missed. Made a good breaking ball and struck out De La Guerra, and one gone.
It's a really good job using both sides of the plate. Started away, moved in, all with fastballs. Threw a breaking ball off the dish right there just to get him out in his front foot.
Man at second for Christian Arroyo, who has a hit in his only plate appearance today. Christian with some pop in the bat. Another ballpark that doesn't get, you know, the national love of the ballpark in San Francisco or obviously Fenway or Wrigley Field that I'm very fond of is Kansas City.
They put a lot into that. My year in Kansas City was 2009. If I recall, they put about $250 million in prior to that offseason just to kind of refurbish it and make it up to date. And it was great. It's great. It's got the waterfalls out there. It's a beautiful, good atmosphere. It's in the middle of nowhere, though.
It is. You've got to have a reason to get out there. And that, you know, they've got the Chiefs right there. Arrowhead is right there, right next door. So they have a real sports complex going there. The ballpark's gorgeous. 1-2 on Christian Arroyo. What's your favorite place to play?
Oh, Fenway. Away, Giants. That's a nice park. Clubhouse wasn't very big.
Right.
But it was a great atmosphere. Every time we went there, it was a great atmosphere. I felt like I pitched there. That has a lot to do with it. If you stink in a ballpark, you're not going to enjoy it.
Sure.
I do remember is either 2007 or 8 warming up on the side, and their bullpens are a little different. They're right there. The fans are right there. They can reach out and touch it. You're throwing towards home plate. And I remember throwing 2 or 3 balls past the catcher. They rolled around past home plate. The umpire calls time.
Everybody looks
this
at
guy
it.
down here can't throw strikes. But I tell you what, I struck out the side. I could not control it in the bullpen. I think it's one of the only times I struck out the side in the big leagues. It was just a classic example of having a terrible bullpen session and kind of getting it together at the last moment, at the right moment.
Just in the nick of time.
Might have been the meals too. The clubhouse meals in San Francisco, they always had these garlic fries that I always grabbed 2 plates when I could.
They're incredible. They're sold on the concourse too, and you talk about smelling that the entire game, you know, and then you're jonesing for garlic, something with garlic in it, you know.
Well, the problem is you're smelling it the whole game, but then when you leave after the game, you go back to your home city, when you start sweating on the airplane, you're smelling it again because it's all the garlic. I mean, it's right there.
It really is. Yeah. They are delicious though.
They're
incredible.
I miss them.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Arroyo. The man at second, 1 away. And Matzik, the lefty, tried the inside part of the plate and missed. Every time we get a chance to go to Dodger Stadium, I'm in a little bit of heaven too, as far as another ballpark, a National League park in particular. Boy, did they do that one right a long time ago. And a line drive and caught. Adrianza leaping up to snatch that. Out number 2.
Nice job driving it the other way. Just quite didn't have enough height. He's scoring if that gets over his head.
So now the Red Sox have to do it with 2 down. And York with that opportunity with Geddes, the runner at second. He led off the inning with a double. The other thing I love about Dodger Stadium, and you would care a lot less about this than I would, but the position of broadcast level, the booths, is absolutely perfect. It's exactly where they should be, which is not the case in some ballparks. Like
Sure.
you go to Washington, the Nationals Park, I mean, you need a Sherpa to get you up there to the very top, and an oxygen tank. It's like 11.5 stories. So you're looking down on the action, which is never good for baseball.
Yeah.
But at Dodger Stadium, it's perfect. It's absolutely where it should be. Foul back. I'm sure they asked Vince Scully. Now, Mr. Scully, where would you like the booths to be? Well, just put them right here. This will be absolutely lovely on a beautiful summer day in Los Angeles. There's a strike.
I mean, when you're part of an organization for that long, you must have some say in where they're going to seat you, right?
It's the Vince Scully broadcast booth, literally. So yeah, you should have more than a little. 2-1. Contreras up out of the crouch, 3 balls and a strike.
I had a chance to visit Dodger Stadium when I was playing for Team USA. This is probably 99 or 2000, and it was great. It was great. I can't remember who we were playing. Taiwan, Korea. There was a lot of international play back then, and we were traveling the country playing in different ballparks. But again, that's one of those ballparks that just kind of opened your eyes.
Oh yeah. Too high. Good take there. Ball 4. First and second for the Red Sox. When I was a young announcer with the Atlanta Braves, I went in there for the first time. I'm standing in the visitors dugout, which is on the first base side at Dodger Stadium. Just a sensational day. The palm trees, sunshine, and the San Gabriel mountain range all purple up there. And Bobby Cox was managing the Braves at the time, and he came and had a cup of coffee, and he stood next to me and he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, this is unbelievable. It's the first time I've ever been in here." He said, "The first time I was in here was the first time I felt I was truly a major leaguer. When I stood in this very spot, look, wow." Like, you know, you've arrived in the big leagues when you're playing at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah. That's a goosebump moment right there.
Yeah.
I tell you. Well, I tell you, anytime I'm working at Fenway, I try to make my way up right behind where you sit, just to get that glimpse. It's a pretty good view.
It's as good as it gets. June night, 38,000 fans. It's the best.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, if you grew up here, as I did, fortunate enough to say, going to that ballpark, you know, since the time you were 5, 6 years old with your dad and your mom, and then you have an opportunity to work up there. You know, it's as good as it gets.
I did grow up here, but my dad's favorite ball player was Ted Williams, and we had photos of Teddy hitting balls over the right field wall. You know, it's like, here's a family member, black and white photo of Ted Williams. You know, just random photos around the house. You know,
I can see that.
Yeah. My favorite pitcher growing up was Clemens, and he was in a Sox uniform at the time. So I definitely I felt that connection with the Red Sox, even as a youngster, even though I was a long way away down in Florida.
Play at first here on a swing and miss. And York able to dive back in. 2 down, first and second. Red Sox have had a couple of opportunities to take the lead the last 2 frames. Fouled off himself. Yeah, my dad the same way. My dad grew up in the city, you know, born and raised in Boston. He was a Ted Williams fan first and foremost. Got a chance to see him swing the bat at Fenway many times. First book he ever gave me was My Turn at Bat.
Oh.
You know, Ted's book, which is a great read, to this day is a great read.
There's his other one, The Science of Hitting.
Science of Hitting was incredible.
That iconic photo of him with all the little baseballs in different colors, his hot zones, very few cold zones,
right? Which they've duplicated at Cooperstown.
Sure.
So if you go to the Hall of Fame, which I encourage you to do, go take a look at the Ted exhibit. Last time I was up there was just last summer. There weren't many folks around, and everyone was, you know, socially distanced and wearing masks and everything, but they had an amazing display on the Babe, where they've got a mannequin wearing one of his uniforms, and he was a big dude. I'm talking about when he was a agile, athletic player. He was like, my goodness, those shoulders. I mean, Babe Ruth was one strong son of a gun.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, but it's a great display because you get a sense of how powerful he was.
Talk about goosebumps. I've only been to the Hall once, back in 2017, and it was, you're right, you walk into that exhibit and you're looking at his bats, his uniform.
Yeah. Hot shot to third, and a throw on the money. So the Red Sox threaten but do not score. Going to strand 2 here. We're tied 4-4. Training on NESN is brought to you by BigTimeBats.com. Visit now for your Tom Brady 7-time Super Bowl champ art football. More wildlife for you, Lenny.
I think he just winked. There he is.
How can you tell? I mean, I can't tell if it's fake or real.
I'm always playing it safe. There he is. It's a slow wink right there, just to let you know.
Really slow wink. Like a half an hour. Well, bottom of the 7th inning. Lovely day in Florida. We have a lovely day. It's just about 40 degrees colder. That's all. Garrett Whitlock coming out of the bullpen. Look at his line in 2019 at AA Trenton.
Yeah, he's a guy that has pitched as high as AA Trenton. I remember my Rule 5 year. I pitched the half year, or the year before that, I pitched half the year in A-ball and AA. And I mentioned earlier, it was in front of players, girlfriends, parents, and hot dog vendors. So it's eye-opening when you're actually pitching at Fenway Park a year later than high A-ball and AA. It's a pretty different atmosphere. And you know, my only advice to him would be to go out there and believe you belong. If you can really believe you belong, go out there and throw strikes. It's 60 foot 6 inches, just like on every other field you've thrown on. Don't think anything more into it.
Facing Heredia here in the last half of the 7th inning. Whitlock, his first year in the Red Sox organization. Originally selected by the Yankees in the 18th round in 17. He's a Tommy John guy as of 2 years ago.
His stuff plays. He's got a good moving fastball right there. Pretty good breaking ball. Able to move it up and down in the zone.
Jeter Downs now at short. Josh Ockamy at first. So every position has changed out today for the Sox.
Biggest difference between A-ball, Double-A, Triple-A into the big leagues is the game tends to speed up on you a little bit. So you have to be able to take a step back off the rubber, take a nice deep breath, calm your nerves down, get back to what you know you can do. Pound the strike zone. That's it. Hitters will get themselves out if you trust your stuff.
3-1 big swing and a high drive, but catchable. Getty's back there for the play for out number 1 here in the 7th. I've heard so many guys talk about once they finally got to the major leagues, whatever jump that was, Double-A or Triple-A, when they got up to the big leagues, the most striking thing was exactly what you're talking about, how fast the game is played. And hitters talk about, wait a minute, that was a double the last time I swung the bat in the minors, but up here he's catching it like it's a walk in the park.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, everything's faster, everybody's quicker. You have to limit your mistakes as a pitcher. And, you know, a lot of times you'll see big leaguers come down to Single-A and pitch against, you know, the Gulf Coast League team or whatever, and they get shelled because you're throwing pitches that you normally would throw to big league hitters, and these guys are basically hacking at pitches that typically maybe a big league hitter won't swing at. They're swinging at everything. It's a different ball game.
Little roller to Arroyo for a quick out. 2 up and 2 down in the 7th inning. And there's that other thing, you know, hitters talk about everybody can seemingly throw it in a teacup. You know, they can throw that pitch. They can throw several pitches exactly where they want, you know, and you're not used to that as a hitter. You're used to a guy missing with several of those, but they don't miss very often in the big leagues.
A lot of times in the minor leagues, you can bet they're going to throw a certain pitch in a certain count, right? But a 3-2 or 3-1 or 0-2, a big league pitcher is going to typically be able to reach into his bag and throw anything that he wants. It's a pretty big difference.
Adrianza batting with 2 down and nobody aboard for Atlanta. Braves did all their scoring early. They got 3 in the first inning, another run in the second. Those were all off Garrett Richards. They have not scored since then. In fact, they only have a handful of hits since then. Sox got all of their runs in 1 inning in the 6th. This was close.
That's right at the bottom of the zone right there. That's where he needs to stay, though. If you're going to go up, go up. If you're going to go down, stay down. It's where you get in trouble, is where you're kind of up by the belt buckle. You have to distinguish between those two with your fastball.
Ricocheted away on a pitch in the dirt, 1-2. Again, the Sox will not play tomorrow. It's one of those rare off days in spring training once the Grapefruit League gets underway. And beginning next weekend, all the games will be 9 innings. This, because both managers wanted to play longer today, this is a 9-inning game. But typically they're going 7 around spring training in both Florida and Arizona right now. In some cases 5.
Not a terrible idea. You know, coming from a player's standpoint, you get to spring training, there's jet lag, there's soreness that you're not used to, that you're going to get during game activity that you're not necessarily going to get when you're just working out, running sprints. That fast twitch in a game situation is really hard to mimic, so you're going to create a little bit of soreness that you need to get used to.
Adrianza drops in a base hit. And it comes with 2 down. And now Pablo Sandoval, former Red Sox, San Francisco Giants, and still playing here for the Atlanta Braves with 2 down, and he swung the bat. That's a swing and a miss. And Whitlock with the 0-1.
Pitch before that was up and away. Now he's going down and in, doing a good job of changing the eye level right there. Now that he's 0-2, he has options.
Tried to get him to chase. He wouldn't do it.
Not a bad time to throw a breaking ball off of that high fastball.
Runner at first. Here's a 1-2. Served the other way. Munoz went for it, couldn't get it. Adrianza will round third. He's going to jog on in, and he will score. Munoz went for it. He tried to make a spectacular catch, and he wound up not getting to it. It's 5-4 Atlanta.
That was a good effort. I tell you what, that was a breaking ball, but it wasn't the right location. You want to get that ball down in the zone right there.
So Sandoval against his former club will drive in the run. And Atlanta's up by 1 here in the 7th. And here's Irvin taking ball 1. In there for a strike. Irvin 149 last year, 37 games. And Whitlock's 1-1. Hit the other way, foul.
Little damage control right here if you can limit them to 1 run. See if you can make an adjustment. Either go back up in the zone with a fastball or maybe a breaking ball. He's got to get it down if he does.
Whitlock from Snellville, Georgia. Makes his offseason home in pretty serious football country right now in Alabama. Went wailing away, and he struck him out, but a run in. 5-4 Atlanta at the end of 7.
At Rodenheiser.
Well, top half of the 8th inning coming up on a lazy Sunday afternoon. The Braves leading at 5-4. This player spotlight presented by your local Nissan dealers. Adam Ottavino, brand new to the Sox, coming over from the Yankees, 10 major league seasons. And played for Northeastern University, so Boston connection back 04, 05, 06.
Had a chance to play with Adam on World Baseball Classic Team Italy. Stuff was good back then. Made a pretty good career out of it so far. He's the type of pitcher that he really needs to throw the ball out of the zone, but keep it in the zone in the pitcher's eyes, if you know what I mean. Make it look like a good pitch to hit.
Sure.
Swing through it. A little bit too many hard barrels last year.
Good numbers for Edwards Jr. in just 5 appearances with Seattle. You mentioned a couple of times playing for Team USA. You didn't play for Tommy Lasorda, did you?
He wasn't a coach, but he was around.
Around.
Yeah, so he ended up giving us a pep talk. This is Team USA, and he gave me a pep talk with Team Italy as well. Basically the same pep talk, different decade.
Right.
But when I was with Team USA, we're at Rob Dato's house, legendary coach, and I can't repeat 3/4 of it. Bless him, but he fired us up, and I tell you what, it's just any chance that you that you had to be in the presence of Tommy Lasorda,
right,
was incredible.
Did you know, nobody ever had a better pep talk than Tommy Lasorda, from what I'm told.
Well, the first one was in Rob Dadov's yard, and the second one was in a cramped shower, actually at the Braves' old facility. And I'm telling you, it was a cramped shower with the whole team inside the shower. And it's Tommy, and he's yelling, and it's echoing. And you know, half the guys don't know what he's saying because they're from Italy. They just know that
Right.
it's important because everybody knows who Tommy Lasorda is.
Sure. A piece of work. Munoz stings that one. He just keeps on swinging the bat. Here in the 8th inning, he leads things up. His second hit today. Going back to last season, where he certainly swung the bat very effectively and flashed that grin. He likes to hit. And we'll bring up Jeter Downs, one of the Red Sox top prospects. Jeter in the minor leagues, last full minor league season with Boston.
Shown some early pop this spring.
Red Sox looking to even it up again here in the 8th inning, trailing by 1. And a strike.
Again, he's going high and tight right there. He wants to keep the ball off the right side of the infield, the outfield, keep that runner at first base. That jam job right there was hopefully to try to induce a double play.
Jeter, 22 years old, born in Colombia. He's got a brother who's also in the Red Sox system.
I believe he was named after a certain ball player.
Yes, mom chose Jeter in honor of Derek Jeter. Can steal a base too. A couple of years ago, 37 of those at Dayton. So a lot of tools here. Right hand hitter. Check the swing. So full count here. Red Sox have only scored in 1 inning today in the 6th. Didn't get much off of Charlie Morton, who had the start today for his new team, the Braves, and he went 3 scoreless innings. Here's the payoff pitch. Two, not tempting enough, ball 4, so that'll put runners at first and second. Go back to that 6th inning where the Red Sox did all of their scoring so far.
Red Sox hitters in that 6th inning, that helped by swinging the bat on a pitch that was down in the zone right there. Catcher had a hard time. All the other hitters were seeing balls early that they could take care of, that they could hit. Don't get deep in the count, so they were taking advantage of pitches that were hittable, hanging curveballs like that, sneaking balls in, seeing eye singles. Do what you can to scrape as many hits as you possibly can.
Sox had 5 hits in that frame, all of them singles. And here's Connor Wong. With 2 on and nobody out. 31 home runs at Tulsa in 2019. It's a high drive down the line. Is that going to be a fair ball? That ball is deep into the corner, but it is foul.
He definitely has the capability of driving in everybody right now. Like you said, he has a ton of power.
Former Dodger farmhand has 2 on. And the 0-2 from Edwards Jr.
Looking to shorten up right here and drive it into the gap.
That one bounced right up into the throat area of Contreras. I guess anything it takes to stop it.
That's it. Whew. What do they call it? The tools of ignorance. Tell you what, I couldn't do it. That looks painful. Any kind of pressure on the neck right there, that doesn't feel good.
Why would you want to?
Oh. Takes a special type of person to be able to do that.
So Wong back in, looking for something to drive here. He's got Munoz at second, representing the tying run, and Downs at first, the go-ahead run.
That's his way of letting everybody know that he's okay back there.
Yeah.
Don't think you're going to sneak a bag out of me.
I'll tell you what, it looked like a strike to me.
Looked pretty good.
2-2. Checked his swing. They appealed, no swing, and Red Sox have a full count here and an opportunity to do a little damage. With 2 on. And he's already walked 1 in the inning. Swing and a miss. He went for it, and he struck him out. So Wong fans.
Nice high fastball right there. That's pretty appetizing. It looks like a good pitch to hit, a 4-seamer, and again, it's got that illusion that it's actually rising. It's actually staying up in that zone just a little bit longer. The 4 seams are grabbing the wind.
Marcus Wilson. Wilson, the 24-year-old from Los Angeles, fouls one away for strike 1. Marcus acquired from Arizona in April of 19. I mentioned the Blake Swihart deal. In 2019, he ended the season with 45 games playing for Salem, and he batted .342 with 8 home runs.
First pitch hacking right there again, trying to look at something early. Pitchers are oftentimes trying to get that first strike. Got runner on base. Why not?
Munoz on at second, Downs at first. And a breaking ball missed.
Wow. It's close. Spring training for everybody.
That's a fact. 1-1 on the way to Wilson. Stopped by Contreras, who's been busy back there. He's had to be.
It's a good job just softening it up. You know, you hit that ball towards the pitcher, it goes about 4 or 5 feet away. It's a good chance he advances.
Only one gone here in the 8th inning. It's a high fly ball into right field, not deep. Almonte there to make the play, and the runners have to stay put. So 2 gone. And Michael Geddes will climb in. Red Sox looking for a big hit. They had a couple of them in the 6th inning, but scoring's been frozen that 1 inning. He doubled his last time up. Another minor leaguer with some power.
You'll see Munoz there jumping around, trying to divert the attention away from the pitcher as much as possible. If he can get him off his game, just to leave that pitch up just a little bit.
And a lanky right-hander with a 1-0 pitch. Breaking ball.
Nice big sweeping breaking ball right there. Looks like a good pitch to hit, but it's got a ton of break on it. That's a lot of spin on that ball right there.
Well, the inning began with promise for the Red Sox. Base hit by Munoz, a walk to Downs, but then Wong fanned. Wilson flied out harmlessly. So it falls on Geddes here.
Two-one count, looking for a good pitch right here to hit. Don't go out of your zone.
High strike granted there. And if you're looking for Bruins pregame coverage, Dale, Billy, and Barry have just gotten started on NESN Plus. Once our Red Sox game is over, Bruins coverage will come on over to NESN. Two and two with 2 down, 2 on. Today, the second of 9 scheduled Grapefruit League games between the Sox and the Braves, because they're regionalizing spring training this year, trying to cut down on travel and the possibility of COVID-19 infections. Going to see a lot of each other. Breaking ball, got a piece of that one, fouled it away. Sox and the Braves will play each other 4 times in the regular season. 2 at Fenway, May 25th and 26th, and 2 at their ballpark in Atlanta in June, middle of June.
We had interleague against the Braves in 04, I remember. Went to their ballpark.
Sox have played at the new place north of Atlanta before, and they went down there and swept them in the 18 season. Swing and a miss, struck him out. Side retired, and 2 left.
With the latest Red Sox news and get behind-the-scenes look at the team by subscribing to the official YouTube channel. Visit youtube.com/Red Sox to watch all access clips, press conferences, highlight reels, and more.
Guess what, Lenny? Another Gator shot.
There he is. Tell you what, I'm from Gainesville, home of the Gators, and
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
and I mean, this is a dumb question, but obviously you still root for the Florida Gators.
I was a Stetson Hatter. There's
Right.
a little bit of a rivalry there. I didn't go to UF.
Well, there is a rivalry there.
Yeah, but
Oh, okay.
Gator fans are similar to Red Sox fans. If you're a Gator fan, you've got bumper stickers, you've got
Right.
you're decked out in Gator outfits, similar to Red Sox fans. They bleed red and blue.
Support's incredible.
Yeah, and
So you don't root for the Florida Gators, even though you're from Gainesville,
I'm from
Florida?
Gainesville, but yeah,
Wow.
it's I'm not a diehard.
How about the rest of the family?
My older brother went there, and he probably roots for him a little bit more than I do, to be honest.
Football season, that's the real deal. That one's going to be dropped into center field for a base hit. So Contreras begins the 8th inning for Atlanta with a single. Reaching out, good extension. Knew it at the crack of the bat, was going to find a home on the grass. So Camargo will climb in. Atlanta with the leadoff man on base.
Again, he's going to try to do his best to make something move down in the zone, create some weak contact, hopefully up the middle, get that double play ball. That's your goal as a pitcher right now.
Young pitcher Garrett Whitlock. Well, he's from Georgia, so he knows a thing or two about football country, and undoubtedly he's a Georgia Bulldog fan.
He's from what I like to call the other Gainesville.
Yeah. Athens, Georgia, that might be the best college town in America.
Well, if you're a music fan as well, there's a lot of bands that come from that
big time,
that city.
REM is from there, from Athens, of course. They got their start there.
There's
the B-52s, I want to say.
Yeah, Mike Mills from REM. He's actually a friend of mine, and he wrote a song with the bandmates called Pasquale on the Perimeter in his band that he's in currently called the Baseball Project. They have 3 albums. I think they're coming out with a 4th soon, all about baseball. Check it out. Pasquale on the Perimeter is about Pascual Perez getting lost on, I think it's the 285 going around.
Yes.
And he was late for his start. Couldn't get off.
Yeah, I remember the story. He finally got there, and they were like, "What happened?"
Got stuck.
I couldn't get off the highway.
But yeah, he's a huge baseball fan. He's actually in a fantasy league with a few other musicians.
I had no idea. Base hit into right center. And Contreras will stop at second base, so the Braves have something going on here. 2 on and nobody out on top 5-4 in the bottom of the 8th inning.
They were a little bit too much up in the zone. 2 feet over, that might have been a double play ball.
By the way, I am completely impressed. I mean, you drop an REM reference, and hey, you know, one of my best friends is a former member of REM. I had no idea. Like, I don't know anybody famous, so when I hear of people who do, we're pals with fame, I'm like, it can't be anything other than impressed.
We went to a spring training game. I want to say this is 2014, and I'm talking to him, and Pine Tar gets brought up, and pitchers, and how they doctor baseballs, and what's going on with that. And he ended up basically writing a song called Stuff about pitchers doctoring baseballs. I think it's on the next album.
He just wrote a song about it.
Well, yeah, the next day, hey, I got lyrics to a song, you know.
Yeah, those guys are like that, aren't they? They can, oh, wait a minute, I've got to go. I'll be in the other room, and 10 minutes later they come back with a song.
Yeah, they've got, you know, a Dale Murphy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame song.
Yeah,
I mean, just he's in a group, a fantasy baseball group, I want to say with Steve Wynn from the Dream Syndicate, who toured with REM back in the early 80s. Scott McCoy played with REM for a long time.
In for a strike. A terrific band. Right out of Athens, Georgia. Yeah, you'd better be a big-time football fan. SEC football. Go school there. Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee. Big swing and a miss by Goinsier. And he is down on strikes. So 1 gone.
It's a nice pitch right there. He's got a lot of run on his fastball. That's a pitch he can start on the outer half and work its way off. Or similar to a guy like Porcello, he can start that on the inner half and bring it back.
Braden Shoemake will climb in. Runners on at first and second. Solid numbers in 65 games at A-ball and AA in the last minor league season. And Whitlock with a 1-0. Did a good job keeping that down.
You notice he held the ball for a long time there. For you young pitchers out there, a lot of times you'll hold the ball for 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 1 second. Sometimes you'll just get it and go. What he's trying to do right there, he's trying to disrupt the timing for that hitter at second base. He's trying to time the pitcher. Pitcher wants to keep him off of his timing. That was a 1 second count there, 4 seconds prior to that. So you don't want to fall into a habit of having the same timing every time from set to pitch.
Two-1 to Shoemake. Pretty good swing on that one. 2-2. Atlanta had a lot of regulars in there today when the game got underway. Acuna Jr. and Albies, Freddie Freeman, the reigning MVP, Marcell Ozuna. Ozuna was in there. He had a base hit today. Dansby Swanson, their shortstop.
5 All-Stars and 4 Silver Sluggers in that early game lineup.
Good tight breaking ball there to strike him out. 2 gone.
Nice back foot breaking ball right there. Again, that looks like a fastball in the inner half. Ends up breaking off the corner of the plate.
So Whitlock trying to get out of a little bit of a jam here in the 8th inning. And Heredia, the batter, is 0 for 1 with a fly to right field. Braves starter today was the newly acquired right-hander Charlie Morton. And he was pretty good. 3 innings, no runs. Not perfect, but he threw the ball well.
This is a good opportunity for Whitlock to show the Red Sox that he can pitch in intense situations, maybe get out of a jam here and there. You will fall into them during the season at points, so it's a good test.
Two down and a 1-1. Left that one wide. They pumped in a good live one there, fastball to make it 2-2.
I mean, his stuff plays. He's got a nice hard fastball. When he throws his breaking ball, it's got real tight spin and great movement on it. It's just about fine-tuning everything. We talked about the difference between A-ball and AA all the way up into the big leagues. It's being able to throw those pitches when you want them.
Bounding ball and scooped up by Akame, gets the out, and Whitlock gets out of the frame. 2 men left.
We will return with more spring training action from JetBlue Park as the Sox host these Atlanta Braves on NESN Plus, presented by your local Nissan dealers.
We'll have it for you right here on New England Sports Network. Jerry and I will be there. I don't know where you will be. You'll be maybe somewhere in Rhode Island then?
Saturday. Yeah, I'm probably going to be doing something with baseball, either one of my kids' practices or teaching a pitcher how to throw a changeup, something like that.
Yeah.
It's typically what I'm doing.
How old are the kids, by the way?
Ooh, 8, 6, 4, and my youngest will be 2 in April.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about a full house, man.
Yes, sir.
And the 2-year-old, is he looking like, you know?
He runs the joint. I got to tell you, he walks around the place all bowed up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's something else.
Yeah,
Lots of personality.
You're in for a lot of fun for a long time to come. Well, Victor Arona coming out of the bullpen now for Atlanta. Pitched with the Phillies last year briefly. And we'll take on De La Guerra to lead things off as we go to the 9th inning. As promised, a 9-inning game for the first time this spring is agreed upon by both managers. And through next Saturday, the games will be 7 innings in length, and on Sunday they go to 9. De La Guerra whiffed in the 7th inning, so he's 0 for 1. Both of these teams 3-3 on the spring so far.
Going to try to put something together right here, get this first man on.
We are hoping by next weekend we might get a look in a game at Xander Bogaerts making his way back from a sore shoulder. The plan is at some point you'll see him swinging the bat as a DH and then eventually in the infield as well. Short.
We saw him throwing. Looks pretty solid. You know, it's we talked about it earlier. The shoulder can be finicky. You know, it's not like the elbow. It's a different type of joint. So there's more muscles involved, different movements. So you want to be careful with that. Follow a certain progression, especially playing shortstop. You're going to be making throws. Not all of them are going to be balanced. You're going to be throwing balls off, you know, off one foot, sometimes with no feet at second base if you're turning a double play. So it's good to stay on top of that.
Right on the black. 2-2. Red Sox got Alex Verdugo in there today. He was in there yesterday as well, but Hunter Renfroe, Rafael Devers, Christian Vasquez, they all got starts today. Three and two on De La Guerra. I think one guy who wants to, you know, make sure without question he is taking a step forward in his next outing is Garrett Richards.
Yeah. I mean, his first outing, he actually left the ballpark with a good feeling, worked his way past that first inning where he struggled. He was talking about thinking about his mechanics too much rather than thinking about competing, which you need to do anytime there's a batter in the box. Today was a little bit more of the first inning. You know, just something I'm sure he's going to talk to Dave Bush about and work on mentality and leave the mechanics in the bullpen session.
3-2 on the way, a wave and a miss. He struck him out. Yeah, Richards walked 4 men in 2 innings.
That's a tight spinning breaking ball right there. Not a lot of downward movement, but it's effective because it's late.
That'll send up Arroyo. Christian hitting with the bases empty. 1 down, 9th inning. Got hockey coming your way next. The Bruins and the Devils. Nesson.
I've only been to 1 hockey game. I'm a little bit embarrassed. I've only been to 1 hockey game in my life.
In your life?
In my life.
Line shot. That'll be dug out at third, and then plenty of time to get him. 2 up and 2 down. You got to get you back over to the Garden a couple times.
Well, my only game was at the it was a P Bruins game over at the Dunk, and Keith Falk calls me up one day. Hey, we're going. All right, we're going, and it was a blast. It was a fun time. You know, coming from Florida, hockey's not huge out there, at least, you know, in the Gainesville area. Never been on skates, never seen snow. Cold weather sports aren't a huge thing, but I tell you what, I had a blast.
York the batter. You've not been to the Garden then?
No.
All right, so you got to go see the Bees when fans are allowed back in. You know, and it's all safe to do that. I mean, you've got to get in there.
Yeah, I'll make a point of it for sure.
It's a great place to see a hockey game too. It's so comfortable. Easy in, easy out. Great fun. Oh, and by the way, they're pretty darn good.
I hear that.
A lot to look forward to. A lot of people are watching. 2-0 to count on York. Red Sox trail 5-4 9th inning with 2 down. Only inning the Red Sox have scored in so far, the 6th inning. And a strike. And Arona with a 2-1.
Looked like a pretty good pitch.
Yep, as you said, it's spring training for everybody.
It is. That's a fastball count right there. Trying to be selective. Tried to fool him with a breaking ball. Might have been an inch off.
High pop up into center. And now it comes on back, and it'll be caught on the infield by the second baseman. And that will do it here in the 9th inning. Red Sox fall 5-4, the final score against Atlanta. Lenny, thanks so much. Really enjoyed it.
I did too, Dave. Thank you.
Have a safe drive back to Rhode Island. 5-9-0 for Atlanta, 4-9-0 for the Red Sox. That's your final score. Dale, Billy, and Barry coming your way. Get set for Bruins and Devils next.